Hello, everyone, and welcome. I just thought I would go live today since I got so many new subscribers today. That is so amazing. I can't thank everyone enough, especially Recovery Addict. If you're not subscribed to Recovery Addict, please subscribe to him because he's awesome and his community is awesome. And I am so incredibly grateful for him, giving me a shout out and putting the link to my channel in the chat. So grateful. And so grateful to everyone for just subscribing because even just subscribing and that's it. Like never watching anything, never doing anything. It makes a huge difference by just purely subscribing, even if you don't do anything else. So thank you so much. Um, I'm really happy that we could help get Legal Vices to 100,000. Can't remember if it's 100,000. I think 100,000 subscribers, 200,000 subscribers, 100,000 subscribers. I was there. How do I not remember this? Yeah, 100,000 subscribers. That is so exciting. Um, I was watching it on Nick's channel with them, and I was not a Legal Vices subscriber, but I definitely got emotional just because that was his goal, and to just be there with his friends and being able to support them while everybody on YouTube helped him meet his goal, even if he wasn't here to see it. That is really cool. Um, if anyone's watched any of my other videos, I kind of flip-flop back and forth between OBS and StreamYard because I'm trying to figure out which one I like better. And I forget to push the button sometimes. Because I can talk. I can do lots of things. I forget to push the buttons because I forget that there might be people watching me. And my dogs think I'm completely insane talking to myself. Um, I also experiment with different cameras, different microphones to see which one I like best, which one is working the best. So any feedback in the chat would be amazing. I think I have my camera. I use my hook for like to see if my camera's in focus, like where I'm going to be working. It seems to be. So, I wasn't paying attention the other day when Little Boy was live, and I only got to watch a little bit of his live. So that's what I was gonna do tonight. Just gonna go live, crochet some stuff, and watch Turtle Boy. So that's what I'm doing. And if you're watching, that's what you're watching. So enjoy.
Okay. All right, let's jump right now to let's go listen to the final part of M. William Phelps. So let me tell you, that little photo shoot that I did in the backyard in the woods, I don't think Phelps you like that very much. He does not have much of a sense of humor. Because the more I criticize him, the angrier.
Seen Eden's photo shoot. I think I talked about this last time. If you haven't seen Eden's photo shoot pictures, like in the style of M. William Phelps, oh my gosh, it is the funniest thing. I love Eden so much because he just doesn't take anything too seriously, like nothing. I love it. Rando from Iowa, hello. Thank you for joining me. Thank you so much. I'll try to remember to put the chats up. I'm really, really bad at that. Hipster Doofus, hi. Thank you so much for subscribing. I said earlier that YouTube is just such an amazing place. Like, at least the other YouTube channels that I subscribe to, there's no hate. There's no anything, just pure love and helping each other. And I couldn't be more grateful for everybody subscribing and for Recovery Addicts, just shouting me out and getting me past my goal. I only wanted 50 subscribers so that I could go live on my phone on YouTube. Um, and I got way more than that today alone. I think I got more than 50. So thank you all for being here. Back to Turtle Boy. I love him. He is so funny. Like, he doesn't take anything too seriously, and he covers super serious topics. Um, but he knows his stuff. He just everything he talks about, he knows what is happening. So if you haven't seen his ex Twitter, whatever you want to call it, is so funny. He posts on there constantly, like nonstop. And I think all of the pictures in the woods on his ex. Check out his ex.
He gets on these podcasts.
Those are the pictures he's talking about.
He is triggered. Now, the problem with this podcast here is nobody's listening to it except for like Kimberly Fair downloading it 100 times. That's about it. Like I go, what's he at now? He was at like 160 something. And when he puts out a new podcast, it goes up for a couple days. It might even crack, the top 100 in true crime. But as of right now, let's see where he's at now. Because he put one out a couple days ago. It's down to 95. Okay. I saw he cracked 100 again, which was great. But now he's at 95. And I believe Krusty said that the top 75, if you make the top 75, she just comes up with the shit on her own. It's kind of a big deal. Well, it's 95 and it's sinking quick. So we're going to listen to the final episode here. He might try to sue us again. He might try to get this copyright taken down. Valentinus might, but I don't think it's going to work out. So let's play it. Oh, wait, no. Okay, I'm going to have to go over to... That's not going to work. Let's go over to the... Can you guys hear this? Let me know if you can hear this.
No, I can't. Yeah, because it's taking so long to catch on that no one can hear. He's really wait for so long to catch up with me.
What happened? What's playing? What the hell is playing? Hold on. Oh, I was on Spotify. Hold on, I was on the wrong thing. Let me try this. Let me know if you can hear this when I play it. Can you guys hear this? You can't hear this?
I love his shirts. I need to get some Turtle Boy merch. His shirts are hilarious. Like he has so many. Like they're his shirts. Like he sells them in his merch store or whatever. But I love it, especially since it's a throwback to The Office, Prison Mike, because I love The Office. It is my favorite show. Hey, Lindsay, thank you so much. Yeah, I try to crochet. I don't get if I'm actively live streaming and there's people watching me, which is honestly not often. I don't get much crocheting done because I'm constantly reading chats and talking and pausing and muting and or I just get completely distracted. So I'm kind of a terrible streamer, but I'll get better, I hope. But thank you so much for subscribing and coming over. I'm just kind of catching up on my Turtle Boy tonight, just hanging out.
What about now? Can you guys hear this now? You guys can't hear it at all? All right, hold on. Let me unplug this. Maybe it works. Let me do it this way. How about now? Road. Is that better? That might be better, right?
I won't use your name, and I'll change your voice. I'll tweak your voice a little bit so it doesn't sound like you. Perfect, thank you. And any identifying markers that you might give, I'll just cut them off. Okay, thank you. In April 2024, jury selection in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts versus Karen Read took place over 5 days. 401 residents were summoned from all walks of life for the original jury pool. The reason this juror, who deliberated with 11 others, asked that I disguise his voice and maintain his anonymity is fear. Like so many others involved.
All right, so stop right there. This is the same juror I interviewed. Let's get it out there first. So I did an interview with this juror, and this juror was one who voted he was a not guilty voter on all 3 counts, and he then switched to guilty temporarily. He's one of the, remember, it was 6-6, and after the Tui charge came out, Tui Rodriguez came out, he switched over to guilty temporarily. And then he said he switched back. That's what he told me in the interview. So he said it went from 6-6 to 9-3 and 8-4. So he was one of the 4 that was not guilty on manslaughter. He told me.
I never understood that. If jurors can flip flop so much, that's gotta mean that there's I literally cannot do 2 things at one time. That there is reasonable doubt, right? Because if they're switching, flip-flopping back and forth, that means that there's reasonable doubt. Like, I don't know how else to define it. That's just how it is. If you think they're guilty 1 second and then flip back and say they're not guilty and then flip back, then there is doubt in your mind. Like, that's the definition of doubting yourself. I'm trying to learn from the best. I'm trying to learn from all of my favorite YouTubers and just learn the ropes. I have no idea what I'm doing, but yes, I'll get it eventually. I think that everybody kind of, that happens with all YouTubers. They just figure out their thing, or how they like to do things. I was watching Brandy Churchill was on with Broken Baker today, and that's pretty much what she said. Like her first live stream was a complete disaster, and I'm sure mine was too. I don't even remember which one was the first one, but I pretty much just plugged in the camera and said, "We're gonna do this today." So, but yeah, she said the same thing, and look at her now. She's freaking amazing.
Told me that they were all not guilty on murder. Now, this guy, he just came across as like a guy that could be pushed around. You know what I mean? Like he told me that like the foreman and the engineer in the group, John, were very pushy. All right. So that they were, they had dominant personalities. He also is the one who said that Brian Albert, his presence in the courtroom was intimidating. That's what he said. He is an EMT. Okay. So that, and Phelps, actually, he's got some scoop here. It's like, I got him, this guy. This was me. This was a Turtle Boy, an A. Timothy Carney production here. Like, he has nothing without me. He's got nothing without me. So again, and mostly this juror says everything I already reported on. So this is a big nada, this whole interview. So let's listen to this.
He is worried about being harassed, ridiculed, and threatened. His place of work gang stalked. If he said even one word, the radical wing of the Free Karen Read movement disagreed with.
So he's worried about what's going to happen to him if the free
I messed up somewhere. I'm supposed to have 18, and I don't know what's going on. But we'll make it work.
what the free Karen Reed people are going to do
Let's figure
if his identity gets out. Well, I'm free Karen Reed and I know his identity, and I haven't done shit to him, have I? And why would we do anything to him if he was one of the not guilty voters, Phelpsy? That doesn't make any sense at all. They love that gang stalk thing. That is such a boomer thing. That's Valentina started saying it. You guys are gang stalking me. What? What is gang? What is their affiliation with these words? Gang stalked? What is that even? Gang stalked is a group, or group stalking is a set of persecutorial beliefs in which those affected believe they are being followed, stalked, and harassed by a large number of people. Okay, I don't really see what that means. So gang stalked. It sounds so devious. This guy's such a loser. What he doesn't mention is that what's going to happen if he's only scared of the free Karen Reed people. He's not scared at all of, the psychopaths on the other side who, dox people. He's not scared of fucking crusty panties who has put out the private information of God knows how many free Karen Reed people. God knows how many people. And just attacked them, smeared them, doxed them, the whole fucking 9 yards, all of them, He's scared of us and only us. That's ridiculous. And this guy was, I'm sure Phelps asked him there in the interview, were you intimidated by Brian Albert's presence? He would have said yes, because that's what he told me.
So effectively, here you have one more person on a long list,
I
a
was
juror,
intimidated.
simply doing his or
I was intimidated by Brian Albert's sweater vest. I was intimidated. Yeah, I was intimidated by Brian Albert's sweater vest. No one's ever looked that stylish. I figure out where I went wrong. There's a pattern from the making in the description. It's just like one of those microwave, like for carrying a hot bowl of soup in the microwave. I'm just trying to get stuff one for Christmas presents because it's been a rough time. I did not have promised things for Christmas. Crochet things for Christmas. If I'm just crocheting just for fun, I can knock stuff in like crazy. But if I promise people something,
or her civic duty intimidated by a group of people unwilling to accept a different opinion or outcome. Ultimately, 19 jurors were chosen from a pool of about 90. By the time the trial got underway on April 29th, 2024, the final jury was reduced to 16, 12 jurors and 4 alternates.
17.
I also spoke to an alternate, an obvious Turtle Boy disciple who almost made it into deliberations.
An obvious Turtle Boy disciple. That's what he calls the other juror. So I hooked him up with 2 jurors. And the other one was the one that was eliminated on the final day. Coincidentally, because John Fanning said that she said something at a bar. And she was eliminated on the final day, coincidentally. And I hooked her up with her, and he spoke with her, but he doesn't include her interview in here at all. Nothing. Doesn't put, because she's an obvious Turtle Boy disciple, because she believes 100% in Karen Reed's innocence, because she sat there the entire time and listened to Michael Proctor's things, text messages, and was disgusted by them. And that's why, so apparently she's a disciple of me. She had no idea who I was prior to this trial. But she's somehow a disciple of mine because she believes in Karen Reed's innocence. Right. And by the way, she was not an alternate. He's like, there was 12 jurors and 4 alternates. That's not how it works. There were 16 jurors. None of them knew who the alternates would be until the final day. There was actually 17. The bald guy was eliminated. Like, he just stopped showing up halfway through. And then the other lady who made comments on the bus. The other lady made comments on the bus that Karen Reed, remember the woman in red there that was eliminated on the day Melanie Little was there and Mark Betterow? That woman said on the bus that she thought she didn't like the way Karen Reed was looking at her dad and smiling. She didn't like that. And The juror who was later eliminated is the one who snitched on her and went and spoke with Judge Bev about that. And the 2 other jurors that were also eliminated were also called up. The 3 jurors who snitched on the other juror were the 3 that happened to be eliminated on the final day. There's that.
Who did not want to go on record.
I ultimately moved to a different county. I moved to Middlesex County. So I got the standard mail. And when I get the mail, the summons, I look at it and say, and I remember the date, it was April 17th, to be there at Dedham Rate Court. And I said, okay. And I knew something was odd or strange when I noticed that the parking lot was full when I was trying to pull in. And they were not dismissing anybody. And I was like, what is going on? What is this? And ultimately, they identified what the case was. And I was truthful and said that, yes, I had heard about it before. I didn't do any research on it, but I had heard about it before. And I was honest too. I said I would look at the entire case and look at the evidence and make my decision that way rather than just be quick to make decisions based on biases.
As Karen's trial commenced inside the courtroom, mayhem ensued outside.
Mayhem.
Groups of people hanging on every word with Free Karen Read camps.
I love that. There's mayhem outside. I was out every day. I didn't see much mayhem. Did you guys see any mayhem? I saw a lot of love, joy.
Yeah, he's talking like it was a riot or something. Like people were being held back and pepper sprayed by the police because it was like a riot. It's like, dude, I don't know. We all saw it. It was heated and passionate, but mayhem is a different word. Not a word I would have used.
Joy, peace, celebration, coming together, unity. I saw community. I saw a lot of that. I didn't see any mayhem. I don't know what he considers mayhem. I didn't see it. Of course, Phelps wasn't there because Phelps doesn't know anything about this case. Nothing. And we've all read Phelps's emails to me. Phelps.
Thanks, Hipster Doofus. Have a great night. Hope to see you again.
Phelps is 100% believing in Karen Read's innocence. Remember the comments he made about Big Bad Brian Albert? And he called Alan Jackson's closing argument brilliant. Yeah, that's funny.
As if tailgating a sports event. Scores of people cheered Karen as she went in and out of court, painting her as some sort of celebrity. The worst part of it all was John O'Keefe's family members and friends being subjected to shouts and screams, made fun of, booed, called vulgar names, and made to feel as if supporting their murdered loved one was somehow a crime.
So that never happened either. It never happened during the pretrial thing, but at least they have videos of us booing Carl and other people during the pretrial. During the trial itself, there was nothing like that because there was cops everywhere and we weren't fucking around. There's also a buffer zone. So there was absolutely that is a complete lie. A complete lie. This guy lies and lies and lies.
To call all of this a protest, a standout in the name of justice, is to deny the lack of compassion and empathy on display.
What?
Nowhere in any of it was the memory of murder victim John O'Keefe.
That's a complete lie. How many? Show me any. I bet you guys could fucking right now send me 100 pictures of supporters outside the courthouse during the trial with Justice for John O'Keefe signs. I bet you could. I bet you could.
Oh, yeah.
Because they were everywhere. I was there every day. I saw them all the time.
The circus turned out to be perhaps as
All of the anti-Karen Read people make it out to be like nobody cares that John is dead. Nobody cares that his family is hurt. Like, of course everyone cares. But everyone cares that John is dead and his family lost somebody. But we also care that there is an innocent woman being tried for murder, and there is a ton of corruption within the Massachusetts State Police and the Norfolk County DA's office. We also care about that. So, and everybody just wants to get the person who actually murdered Officer John O'Keefe, not just the girl, as character calls her.
planned from the very beginning, all about Karen Read.
Early on, I think one of the things that they talked about was the number of individuals that can be called as witnesses. And therefore, how long could this trial last? Not that we're asking, we're just starting, but not asking to kind of cause it to end, but is there a timeline of how long could this actually be? Or is this going to be short-lived, or is this going to be long? And how long, given the circumstances that they're presenting us with, like hundreds of witnesses potential?
Think about that. For a routine hit-and-run case in which a death occurred, the conspiracy to create a conspiracy turned it into a bloated circus with 70-plus witnesses and a defendant seemingly enjoying each moment as...
Okay, so first of all, it was somehow a cut and dry, right? It's just cut and dry. That's the way they'd like it to be. Just cut and dry. She hit him. No. It's Karen Read's fault. It's Karen Read's fault that the prosecution called 68 witnesses. Somehow that's their fault. And Karen Read looked like she was enjoying herself because she fucking loves being on trial for murder. She loves it. This is exactly what she wants to be doing with her life right now, is sitting here being framed for a murder she obviously didn't commit. Good job, Phelpsy.
Her fame grew, walking in and out of court, condescendingly sitting during proceedings, smiling and laughing, relishing in her newfound celebrity, like a reality television star.
Yeah, they'd much rather her be crying. They would.
It's been years, and she's literally like fighting for her own life. There's nothing more she can do for John. Laying and being upset is not going to do anything. She has to, be strong for herself and her family, and honestly, like all the people of that jurisdiction who would be affected by corrupt DA's office and corrupt Massachusetts State Police.
I'd much rather her be crying. They don't like confident Karen Read. Well, guess what, motherfucker? She's confident because she's not guilty. And she'll never be found guilty as much as you fucking pieces of shit want her to be.
I said that it made sense to me, but no, I did not change it upon looking at it because this verdict slip as submitted to the jury is exactly how it always is in Massachusetts.
I don't really care how it always is in Massachusetts. I care about whether or not it's appropriate.
It's appropriate. It's appropriate. Anything else you want to say, Mr. Jackson?
I'd like to answer the court. How do they decide that she's not guilty of involuntary manslaughter on that verdict?
That's their decision to make.
And how do they make it if they don't have an option to check a box that says not guilty?
They don't check the box that says guilty, do they? Excuse me? This is funny, Ms. Read? All right, we're done.
All right, please.
So he includes that part. This is funny, Miss Read? No, it's actually not. It's actually not funny at all, now that you mention it.
Funny, it's a joke. And
But you're the one.
Complete difference. That was just uncalled for. Like, why did the judge have to say anything?
Like, who insists on going forward with this farce. Like, we're laughing at the absurdity of it all. How come you don't talk about what Alan Jackson was talking about there? Like, can you bring up the fact that shenanigans were pulled on the fucking forum itself and that it was really unclear about what their options were? How about that? No, but, besides that, he's getting to the bottom of this one.
The Commonwealth was forced to play catch-up from day one, pushing back on the sordid notion that 11 people, with at least a dozen additional cops, prosecutors, and strangers, banded together to frame Karen Read for the murder of John O'Keefe. And so the Commonwealth seemed to be spinning its wheels, trying to knock down every detail of a fictionalized story while losing sight of the actual simplicity of the case.
Oh, so simple.
And so job well done by Karen's attorneys, both of whom cost her, according to what she told a glossy magazine later, $5 million. A comment we should take with great skepticism, seeing that Karen Read has made so many contradictory statements since the case began.
Oh, we should not believe her. First of all, it never said she paid $5 million. It says that's the bill. So, for instance, Mark Randazza has done a lot of work for me at a significant discount with my legal fees. He still sends me an invoice of what I owe, and it's fucking huge, right? Of not what I owe, but like what he would have charged, like his hourly bills. He doesn't expect to get paid for that because he's like, we worked out something different, but he has to send me his hourly invoices. That's just how they do it. So Karen Read's attorneys, if they have to do it too. They have to give her their hourly invoices, and it would have come out to more than $5 million worth of work that they did. All right. And they took a significant discount for that. They're paying a flat fee, which means they're working for free. That's what they're doing right now. They're working for free. But good job. Besides that, Phelps,
And how did Karen strike you when you first,
Here we go.
laid eyes on her, you first started thinking about her? What were your first feelings about her?
I thought she was indifferent, for lack of a better term. Right? So indifferent, not not apathetic, but rather indifferent in that she wasn't showing a lot of emotion.
Jurors are expecting a rather cut and dry prosecution of an alleged drunk driver hit and run, resulting in a death. But it's not long after testimony begins that many realize something else is going on.
I want to say it was sometime around the testimony of a combination of the police officers and the firefighters, medics, EMTs who were there. And when they were all being placed on the stand, there was a little bit of what is going on. There's a lot going on here. There's a lot of, and it changed even more as they started to introduce more of the testimony of the individuals from the house, right? So when they had those testimonies there, and they're, for lack of a better term, trying to collaborate the information that is being said by all the other witnesses, then now it seems questionable. And I think at the very
Music in the
piece that
background.
maybe
This music in the background of this podcast is like terrible. It's kind of creepy and it's a little bit like off tune or something. It's like, I don't know, it's unsettling. I don't like it.
is what you're looking for.
Again, these are a lot of words that don't really go anywhere. And I talked to this guy. He's a nice guy. You know, he means well. At the end of the day, he was a not guilty voter, so I like him. But at the end, he just talks in circles like this. Like I don't get what he's getting at. Yeah, there were a lot of witnesses, and I don't understand how Phelps thinks this proves his point that this juror believes him. He's just talking about how there were a lot of witnesses, and it, you know, whatever.
Point, it's the testimony of some of the state police officers, right? And I think it continues to build.
So what about the evidence? What did you make of the evidence as it was presented to you? And by evidence, I mean, some of the video, some of the forensics, that sort of thing.
Looking at the entire evidence that they presented can lead you down the pathway that there was an event. In this case, essentially the tech stream data showed that there was a reverse that occurred.
Remember I told you the tech stream data stuff was like they were obsessed with that? And he's like, this is what this is what they talked about in jury deliberations law, was the tech stream data.
I had this theory about the text stream data that when they said she was going 23 miles an hour or whatever in reverse, I am from Wisconsin. So I was automatically thinking, does that measure how fast her tires are going? Or does that measure how fast the actual car is moving? Like, the whole car is moving. If the whole car is moving or just the tire. Like, what I'm getting at is the tires are spinning in the snow or on the ice or whatever. That was my first thing when they brought in that data, was, were her tires just spinning? Like, how do you know that the car was actually moving? I mean, the GPS, but is the GPS that accurate where it would know like 66 feet? Or was it literally just her tires spinning in the snow? That was my first thought when I heard that testimony during the trial.
Then there is injuries sustained on John O'Keefe, and John O'Keefe ultimately dies. And we have the coroner saying two things. Number one, that he died from a basal skull fracture and hypothermia. Now, with that information, you can get the impression that the backing up hit John O'Keefe. John O'Keefe subsequently sustained injuries that led to his death. And that's how you look at that.
You can get the impression. Listen to what he says here. It's like Phelps is like pretends like this is like, oh, this juror thinks that it happened. Listen to what he says.
Get the impression that saying two things. Number one, that he died from a basal skull fracture and hypothermia. Now, with that information, you can get the impression that the backing up hit John O'Keefe. John O'Keefe subsequently sustained injuries that led to his death. And that's how you look at that.
You can get the impression.
This juror went on to tell me that most of
That's like other jurors. This is what he told me. Other jurors, that's what they stuck to. Other people said otherwise, right? So there you go. This proves fucking nothing. I don't know what Phelps. And again, this is all stuff that I had in my interview with him. Like, none of this is news. None of this is news.
jury went into deliberations with one question. Did
Hey, Wolger. Wolger. Anyways, mostly, unfortunately, I work like a day job, so I'm usually watching other people's channels while I'm working, and I can't live stream myself, so it is always in the evening. Maybe not this late, but it's supposed to snow, so I was kind of meal prepping, so I didn't have to do anything, and especially if, God forbid, the power goes out or something. So we're supposed to get a lot of snow where I live. So I was meal prepping a little bit before this right after work, but I do try to jump in right when I get done with work around um 5 o'clock Eastern. But then I was messing around with the stream, figuring out if I wanted to use OBS or StreamYard. So I did get on a little bit late. It is usually a little bit earlier than this. It is always in the evening because I have to work my day job, unfortunately. Well, awesome. Yeah, I'm not really good at tutorials because I'll be like, oh yeah, you just do this and that, and I forget what my hands are. Even like once in a while, I'll start like moving like too much, or like I'll be completely out of the frame of the camera. So I don't do a ton of tutorials. I do have a video out, so I was just trying to make videos because I really prefer to live stream. I don't do a ton of videos, but I just I just want to crochet and watch videos with other people, like I do all day. This is just what I would be doing if I wasn't live streaming. I would just be watching Turtle Boy and crocheting. So I figured throw it on a live stream. But yeah, definitely thank you for recommending my channel. I'm trying to do more videos and like tutorials, a couple of shorts here and there to try to get things going. That's awesome. I love crocheting too, and it's like I tell people it's just loops, like literally, like if you're watching, it's just different loops, different knots, kind of. So, but yeah, it's kind of just like like a crochet along, and then we can talk about whatever video I'm watching, which is kind of random. And then I lose track of what I was doing.
Karen Reed hit John O'Keefe with her vehicle. And when they looked at the case from that perspective, the evidence seemed clear that she allegedly did. And so, if that is true, he added, that meant she was guilty. The confusion they had, which ultimately caused a mistrial, became the 3 charges they deliberated: second-degree murder, intent, manslaughter while operating a vehicle under the influence, recklessness, and leaving the scene of a fatal crash, responsibility.
It was interesting. At multiple times we had to read, or and I say we, one of us in the group would read the charge and everything or all the criteria associated with that charge. And we would read it numerous times for clarification until ultimately everybody felt comfortable that they understood what the charge was and there was no other questions. So it was a rather extensive and appropriate deliberation of those charges. The second charge was the charge that everyone was kind of on the fence on. And based on the evidence, it seemed like she was clearly under the influence of alcohol.
Okay, no doubt.
And there was this different positions or point of views in terms of what would be the justice given that she was under the influence of alcohol. And from there, it was just a question of he was and she was there at the same time. And everybody else is saying that he never made it into the house. So therefore, she must be the perpetrator of the crime, especially since that text stream data indicated that she backed up. And then that was the last time they were showing that there was any movement of him in terms of based on the movement of his phone. And therefore, it was assumed, or we believed that that was clear enough that she was responsible for the ultimate death of John O'Keefe.
I don't think
So
really
he's
assume.
explaining the rationale of people who thought she was guilty. That's what he was doing there.
Yeah.
Like, this is a nut. Like, Phelps is like, this guy believes that. He doesn't believe that. He's explaining the fucking deliberations. He told me the same fucking thing. None of this is new. None of this is new. And it was fascinating listening to him talk about this, because I'm like, wow, this is all they were talking about. That's it, huh? They weren't talking about 227. They didn't even debate whether or not it was real or not. They didn't care. Oh, the people in the house said it didn't happen, so I guess it didn't happen. You know? Go ahead. He's got more.
And with the tail light, I mean, Did you all discuss anything about the taillight being planted or anything like that? And did that come up?
It did come up, but we dismissed it. And the reason we kind of dismissed it or realized that it was probably not planted was because of the timeline of when the CERT team actually got there. So if you listen to the recordings or whatever, you were able to see in the transcription, you see that we asked for the CERT team report. The reason we asked for the CERT team report is first, we were trying to gather and glean who were the individuals on scene, and two, the timing of when the first officer from the CERT team actually.
So they were trying to figure out who was on. So they did ask for the CERT team report because they were debating whether or not people could have planted the taillight, right? And remember they were told no. If I'm a juror, I'm like, well, then not guilty, motherfucker. How is there no report? How do we know who was there? Nothing. But I guess some of them, like, that just makes them dig in their heels more. The not guilty people, like, then fuck it, you know? And this guy was one of the not guilty voters.
And we were trying to see if somebody from Canton, right, essentially could have made it from, Duxbury or wherever, planted it, and then the CERT team shows up. When we looked at it, the CERT team arrived pretty quickly, and there would not be enough time from the time that the vehicle was actually in the custody to have somebody plant some of that. So
Quickly, didn't it take them like hours? Thank you so much, Wilger. I'm very happy too, and I'm so grateful for everyone who subscribed, and especially for RA giving me so many shout outs and so much opportunity. I appreciate it so much. Thank you.
we dismissed it pretty early on after the review of some of that evidence.
Proctor, with the
Not all of them. We dismissed it. They didn't all dismiss it because clearly some people believed it was planted. Clearly some people believed it was planted. But go ahead. Again, he's got a lot of the facts are wrong. And this is what's scary about this is like 12, these people who deliberated on this, they don't even know the facts of it all. They cannot review the tapes. They missed so much. Like so many people out there who know this case better than the 12 people who actually had Karen Read's life in her hands. Like, and that's fucking crazy. That's crazy. Because you watch it exactly. Like it's crazy hearing this,
tests and all of that. What did you all think of that?
Well, the interesting thing about Proctor is that he was unprofessional. And unprofessional, clearly caught, for lack of a better term, with his pants down in terms of trying to deal with the situation during that time frame, and now realizing, looking back, of how he had kind of handled it and should have handled it more professionally. That being said, he didn't really dismiss any of the evidence because of the information that was gathered by him, because it seemed like the evidence was there, that there was pieces of broken taillight, there was text stream data,
Not at
there
7
was the
a.m.
backing up, and then essentially the injury.
Again, so that's the big thing they're going to have to show in the second trial is like explain that 24 miles an hour thing in reverse. I'm sure there's a very simple explanation for it. The keystrokes, because that obviously went right over a lot of their heads.
If you recall, according to self-published blogger Aiden Carney, Karen told him Proctor was the evil genius behind it all, and she loathed him the most. Proctor would eventually be suspended by the Massachusetts State Police and will, I am told by a primary source, be fired. Now, let's say, for the sake of argument, there was a conspiracy to frame Karen Read, and Proctor was the centerpiece. Suspending and then firing the guy is not how police corruption works.
Wait, suspending and then firing the guy is not how police corruption works. What? So he's saying that the police wouldn't have fired, like if the police are corrupt, they wouldn't have suspended and fired him. Except they didn't until the feds jumped in. Without those text messages, how'd they get those text messages? The feds got those, right? All the other shit wasn't enough to get him to fucking do shit. But the texts were so fucking bad that they had to suspend him. They were forced to do so by the FBI. Phelps, of course, doesn't point any of this out. Jen Altman messages me here and says, Phelps also told me that he would have found Karen not guilty based on reasonable doubt. No doubt. And he told me that the jurors he spoke to said the same thing. Exactly. He spoke to 2 not guilty jurors. He totally twisted the jurors' words. Yes, he did. He's such a fucking lying piece of shit.
Back in the late 90s, I spent 2 years working on an investigative story with an intelligence officer of the highest regard involving the NYPD, mass corruption, and racism. Whenever you have this type of alleged corruption with cops in high-ranking positions, especially detectives, they don't generally wind up suspended and ultimately fired. They are rewarded, promoted, and mostly, if they are cornered and they know anything, they will leverage that information to whistleblow or get back at those who wronged them.
Okay. he would have a point if Michael Proctor was indicted. I think if and when Michael Proctor is indicted, I don't think he's going to go down alone. I think then he might start saying some other names. But until Michael Proctor, if the worst thing that happens to him is he's suspended without pay, that's a W for Michael Proctor.
Oh,
He's
yeah,
going to take
for
that.
sure. That I don't this Phelps guy, I don't get it. He's saying that's not how corruption works. They're not gonna be fired and suspended. If they get caught, they're gonna be fired and suspended, like Proctor did. He got caught and he had to admit he was caught in open court. So yeah, the higher ups are gonna protect themselves, not little Proctor.
That one. He's not, because think about it. What's he going to start saying? He can't take other people down with him because then he would be admitting to guilt. Like, all he's been suspended for is the text messages, which he's 1000% guilty of, and he admits to that. But as far as the covering up a murder thing and planting taillight, doing all that stuff, he's not been in trouble for that yet. So he's got no one to take down. Like, he hasn't been indicted for that. So he's not going to take down other people with him. If he starts saying, oh, Bukaki and Tully knew that I was covering up a murder, well, then he's admitting to covering up a murder, you fucking idiot. So of course he's not going to do that. Why the hell would he do that? He hasn't gotten in trouble for that yet. He's gotten a slap on the wrist for some naughty text messages. That's all that's happening.
They take everyone down, in other words. They certainly don't walk away quietly. The one expert the jury wanted to hear from, however, they didn't.
I think it would have been nice if somebody from Toyota or Lexus gave more information about touchscreen data. If we had somebody who was a true engineer and expert in physics, that would have been appropriate. We did kind of look at.
If we had an expert and someone in physics, oh, I know two. Their names are Dr. Rentschler and Dr. Wolf. I believe, yeah, there's two, right? Actually, one of them's not a doctor. I forget which one. I think Rentschler's a doctor. I think Wolf is just like a genius. But they are experts in physics, particularly. You know, it's like, did they miss that? But remember, they just dismissed those guys as, well, the insurance companies paid them off. They were paid for by the insurance companies. Like, what? But, you know, if you want to get a text stream person to explain the 24 miles an hour in reverse, could that be caused by, I don't know, spinning out in someone's driveway? Could that have caused a triggering event? Could have done that? Maybe.
Trooper Paul is not really a credible witness,
yes,
but also
they were
realizing
both
that
doctors,
unfortunately he was thrown into that, right? So this new guy is part of the reconstruction group and is going to give the reconstruction. It would have been nice if there was some sort of graphics that he showed, and also it would have been nice if he actually spent a little bit of time and looked at his physics, like just understood basic physics, so that he could at least speak knowledgeably about the topic.
Yeah, it would have been nice if Trooper Paul knew anything about physics. That's why he's a not guilty voter, by the way, because Trooper Paul was so unconvincing to him. Didn't sell it to him. They didn't sell it to him.
Seeing that after trial, the juror was able to begin reading about the case, I wondered if he had any thoughts about Turtle Boy and all of the drama.
Let's start with the conspiracy.
That's it. Listen, this is the most fucking, this is like the biggest bullshit. Just listen to this. Listen to this. Let's pay attention to this, please.
I wondered if he had any thoughts about Turtle Boy and all of the drama.
Let's start with the conspiracy.
That's it. Let's stop with the conspiracy. It doesn't show Phelps asking this guy a question. It's Phelps afterwards saying, I asked him what he thought about Turtle Boy and the conspiracy and the drama. And then it shows the juror saying, let's stop with the conspiracy. That's it. How do we know that that's a response to what did you think about Turtle Boy? Why didn't he play himself? Because there's many points in this podcast where he plays himself asking a question to somebody in person and the person responding. Like with me, it shows him asking me questions and I respond. Jennifer Altman, it did the same, did that with lots of people. With this, it's like, well, I asked him a question and here's his response. How the fuck do I know that's a response to that? Again, think of all.
In reading about the case, I wondered if he had any thoughts about Turtle Boy and all.
And he does have thoughts because he liked me. He responded to my text messages. We were cool afterwards. I hooked him up with Phelps. I shouldn't have, but I did.
The drama.
Let's start with the conspiracy.
Let's stop with the conspiracy. That could have been an answer to a lot of things. Like, for instance, I don't know, what were other people in the jury room saying about the conspiracy? You know, that could be an answer to a million things. But no, he just plays that one clip. He's so fucking deceptive. He's a liar. That's what Phelps is, a liar. Con artist.
Time's almost up on how
Amtrak wants to
Ever have to answer our questions under oath? Well, douchebag, you don't have to answer your questions under oath because she has Fifth Amendment rights. Now, if you want to bring her into it, you can do it after the trial if you'd like. You can depose her. You can do all that. Go ahead. Go ahead. And guess what? She's not afraid to do that either, Peggy. You think she's not afraid of answering your fucking questions? Douchebag, fucking Karen Reed would destroy your soul, Paul O'Keefe, if she was ever in a room with you being deposed. I hope you know that. That she would make you look like a fucking idiot that you are. By the time Karen Reed sat in a Dedham courtroom facing a jury in April 2024, Aidan Carney was out of jail. He served a total of 60 days and was released on bond with over a dozen felony charges and a litany of court dates hanging over his head.
Oh, no.
And as you just heard in that audio from a November 2024 rant on his YouTube channel, Carney continued to
In like late September, he sends me a message saying, good luck at your court date. You'll do great, Aiden. Go ahead.
publicly shame and slander victim John O'Keefe's mother and
There's no
brother,
slander.
as well as anyone else saying the slightest little thing he disagreed with or contrary to Karen Reed's disproven narrative. And he speaks on his YouTube show, especially
It's a disproven narrative. Nothing has been disproven, my dude.
of his time behind bars. Aidan Carney tries to come across as some sort of hardened ex-con that did a rather routine, pushy bid.
Fucking thug piece of shit brother Brian. You think I'm scared of your fucking pussy son Colin? Oh, I can't wait to see Colin. I have a lot of questions for Colin. And something tells me he won't be able to control himself like you did. He can get some. He can get some too. There won't be a dog there to back him up this time. I'm not afraid of your stupid son. Believe me, I can kick the shit out of your stupid son.
He presents himself as a tough guy, a hardcore, old-school Bostonian. Remember, Carney is a failed school teacher from Worcester who lost that job after a scandal involving serious allegations.
Okay, so he's going to learn about something called slander because I got a lawyer too. So I'm not a failed school teacher from Worcester, didn't teach in Worcester. So you probably get your facts straight. That lost his job, didn't lose my job, did not lose my job, was not fired, nothing like that happened. And I got the fucking paperwork to prove it, motherfucker. Like I got receipts. I've published them. He knows this. After allegations, there was no allegations. I was Turtle Boy. That was the drama of it all. I was doxxed as Turtle Boy. And the question was, can a teacher be Turtle Boy? Is that like something that can continue to go on? That's what they were debating. I was never suspended. Nothing like that happened with this. Nothing. I resigned. I left to do Turtle Boy. And it was the best decision I ever made. It was my out. Getting doxxed was how I was able to basically leave teaching. I'm like, well, I guess now that the cat's out of the bag that I'm Turtle Boy, well, I might as well fucking. And I took, again, read my book. I explain it all. I go to Chicago, go visit my uncle. Took me around. He owns a business out there, a water treatment company called Enerstar. And he kind of just brought me around. And he tried to introduce me some people in his line of work. And it's like, you know, it got me into the mentality of owning my own business. And like, he goes, the whole time you were there, you just kept talking about Turtle Boy. That's clearly your passion. You should do that. You should turn Turtle Boy into a fucking business. That's what you should do. And I came back and I go, I don't want to be a teacher anymore. Because I was still on paid leave, not unpaid, paid leave. I took a break. Well, all the Buffalo Bruises shit fucking kind of bowed over and getting doxxed as Turtle Boy. Like, you know, that's what I did. So there was no allegations. There was no firing. I didn't teach in Worcester. Taught in Dudley Charlton Public Schools. It's a whole different town. And yeah, so he just made, and I'm certainly not failed. I was actually a very successful school teacher. So these are what's called slanderous statements. None of these things are true. But go ahead.
That time he spent in jail, according to 3 primary sources, was not what Carney himself had made it out to be. When he entered jail in December 2023, 3 sources within that situation confirmed to me that he, quote, literally cried like a child and begged us to put him in the psych ward because he was so scared of what the other inmates would do to him.
So this is what's called libel. This is also slander. Just because you say you have 3 sources doesn't mean you can just go around making shit up. And we're going to find him out because he's going to be getting a letter in the mail. We're gonna sue him. So get ready, Phelps. You're getting your ass sued on this one. And you ain't the only one who's getting sued. Because we're done. I just sent in a check today to a very good attorney, and we're not fucking around anymore. We have a list. You're on the fucking list. I've written down everything you fucking lied about. You cannot just lie about this shit. The shit I've said about you and your rankings and how bad the podcast is doing, that's all true. That's the thing about it. I haven't defamed you in any way. I pointed out what a loser you are, which is an opinion. You're a fucking loser. Look at where you're fucking ranked. You're a fucking loser. You're a loser guy. But again, let's play this part again. Listen to this part.
He, quote, literate Dorsis was not what Carney himself from Worcester, who lost that job after a scandal involving serious allegations. That time he spent in jail, according to 3 primary sources.
According to 3 primary sources. What the fuck is a primary source? Who would know about the time that I spent in jail? You guys? I mean, who is it? Sean of the Gulf? Is that your primary source? Who are your primary sources? Are you talking to COs? Is that what you're saying? You're talking to corrections officer? What the fuck is a primary source?
Was not what Carney himself had made it out to be.
Okay.
When he entered jail in December 2023, 3 sources within that situation
What does within that situation mean? What does that mean?
confirmed to me that he, quote, literally cried like a child.
Literally cried like a child. I will tell you right now, while I was in jail, surprisingly, I didn't cry once. I thought I would for sure, especially the first night. I felt like I wanted to cry for sure, but I just couldn't fucking do it because I was too busy worried about how the fuck I'm going to get out of there. The whole time I was there, I was fighting to get out. I didn't cry once. I didn't have time to cry. Oh, I was just, I'm a fighter, motherfucker. Like, I will not cry. I wanted to cry. Don't get me wrong, especially the first night. The first night was extremely depressing. And the second day, December 27th, was a very depressing day. But once I got my pad, and once I was able to communicate with the outside world, and once I was able to focus on what I needed to do and start exercising, felt fucking good, man. Felt good, right? And what else does he say?
And begged us to put him in the psych ward because he was so scared of what the other inmates would do to him.
Begged us. So this implies that his source worked in the jail. He begged us to put him in the psych ward. So let's break down the lie with that. Number one, I was in the psych ward the entire fucking time, you lying douchebag. What do you think medical is? It's the psych ward. It's where they send all the fucking nut jobs who are freaking out. I was surrounded by crazy people the entire time. Read the Prison Diaries Part 3, my Asian neighbor there that wouldn't stop masturbating and throwing his fucking food under the floor, under the door, and threw his peas and kept saying the N-word all day long. He was actually in the PC unit, but the brothers there didn't like him because he kept saying the N-word so much. And so he was in danger there because he wouldn't stop using the N-word. And so they brought him to my, God knows what this guy was fucking on. He was fucking insane. And he kept me up all night just yelling, yo, fuck you, N-word, fuck you, bitches. And, you know, the female guard came over. She's like, can you please put some pants on? He's like, yo, fuck you, bitch. And, you know, again, he threw the fucking whole tray of food under the door. The peas went out. And Danielle, the CEO, was like, that's not very nice. That's not very nice. And then the other guy next to me who was just yelling, you're all retarded. I was in the psych ward. I was there one day. One guy came in. He was just in there. He had swallowed a bunch of drugs on his way in, and they got him in the x-ray. And COs had to watch him round the clock for when he took a shit. And when he took a shit, they'd have to go through his shit and find his. That's where I fucking lived. I lived in the psych ward. I hated it there. It was fucking real. It was hard time. It was much worse than the other prisoners got. The other, like, I was there for the fucking NFL playoffs. I didn't get to watch fucking football. I love football, and I didn't get to watch it. And every other fucking prisoner in that jail. How the jail works is there's like 6 units. All right. Or 7 units, actually. Even Walsh's fucking unit got a freaking TV. And within each unit, there are, depending how big it is. One of them, I think, has 48 cells, and it's only a cat fill, so everybody gets their own cell, and they're in their cells probably out. They're out of their. They get like 9 hours out of their cells a day. All right, and they just get to walk around, and it's till 10. They get like 6 to 10. And they're out of their cells, and I'm like, I got fucking 3 hours. I got the 2, and I'm by myself the whole fucking time, which is like more psychological shit. Like, and I wrote this in my prison diaries. I'm like, I'd rather, like, they're worried about something's going to happen to me. I'll take my chances. Half the people in here are crackheads anyway. I could fuck up a lot of these people. Like, I wish a motherfucker would try. I'm not scared of some crackhead from fucking Westwood or some shit wants to step to me. He can get some too. I'm not scared of these people. Why? Oh, because you're in jail. I'm supposed to be scared of you. Fuck you. You're a fucking heroin addict. I'm not scared of you. You can't even stand up straight, right? If you want to get some, you can get some. But they didn't want to put me in there. And as a matter of fact, and we can document this, I made such a stink about it that I went to Tim Bradle, and Tim Bradle got a meeting with Tom Brady, the assistant deputy superintendent who was in the news, who was very nice to me in there. I like Tom Brady. And Danielle, who I believe was the superintendent of the whole jail, second to the sheriff. And he wanted me out. He advocated for me and tried to get me out of there, and they wouldn't budge. But they made some accommodations for me. They got me football. That's what I really wanted. I wanted to be able to watch football. And so they would put me in this intake area because I'm in medical. There's no fucking TVs in there. And so they put me in, they would let me go for NFL playoff games and go and sit in this area, and they would set up a big fucking TV, and I got to watch it in there by myself and eat M&Ms and call Meredith and fucking just chill out. And it felt good. That's all I got though, right? That was the compromise. But I begged to get into fucking Gen Pop. I begged. It's on record. So this guy doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. So this is slanderous, motherfucker. Your ass is getting sued. Get ready.
What many people listening to Carney's rhetoric and refuted conspiracy theories miss is that Aiden Turtleboy Carney is now a free on bond criminal, facing over a dozen felony counts he downplays under assorted belief that all he has done and continues to do is invoke his right to free speech.
I have. That's absolutely right. And it was upheld yesterday by the SJC in a decision that says that it's a really interesting decision that says that it doesn't matter how your speech is perceived by the alleged victim. So it doesn't matter if Chris Albert perceives that my speech is attempting to stop him from testifying at the trial. What matters is what my actual speech's intent is. You can't just say, well, this is how I perceive his speech, right? And I like how he calls me a criminal. I don't know if that's slanderous because I haven't been convicted of any crimes at all. And he's just calling me a criminal. He just throws it out there. We'll see about that one.
And so now you have a criminal accused of assaulting a woman, violating restraining orders.
Accused of assaulting a woman. I'm not accused of assaulting a woman. That's another slanderous. Nobody is accusing me of that. That charge was dropped.
Well,
and Phelps knows that.
The charge was dropped, but you're still being accused of it by the fake victim. So, I mean, you're still technically being accused of it. You're just not being charged.
Because he had a long conversation about Lindsay with me. He knows what a psychopath Lindsay is. He's heard all the fucking tapes of her. And we shared war stories about crazy bitches. And because he knocked up a crazy bitch and has an illegitimate fucking love child that he never sees because he knocked up a crazy bitch. So there's that. But go ahead.
Wiretapping and witness intimidation, among other crimes. Running a self-published blog and YouTube channel with no editor or producer as oversight, pumping out accusatory.
A self-published blogger putting out with no editor. Oh my God. Or a producer. Who's your producer, by the way? Oh, right. Matt Valentinus is. That he's a real producer. He's a real whatever the fuck that means. Who's editing your work? You're putting out a bunch of slanderous garbage. Who's your editor? Like, who's editing your fucking podcast, bro?
Factless, destructive, dangerous, old and tired bombast, attacking anyone with an alternative opinion about Karen Read, and effectively punishing people for invoking their right to that same free speech he so vigorously tries to hide criminal behavior behind. Yet Carney's main motive becomes obvious in a late 2024.
He's so mad. Like, listen how mad he is. He like really, I got to him, bro. This is like, he's so mad. He's like thinking about those wooded pictures I took in the woods, deep in thought. And he's like, fucking asshole. That was serious. It was serious out there. Like, I'm doing it as like a joke. He's making a mockery of this. Those were serious. That's where he gets a lot of his thinking done. You know, he saw M. William Phelps is like going over his notes. And he's like, oh, I can't get to the bottom of this murder. Can't figure it out. You know what I need? I need
go to the
walk in
woods.
Clear my mind a little bit. He goes out there and just stares. Just stares. Leans against a tree. Leans against a tree over here. And then it comes to him. It just hits him. He's like, fuck. The missing piece. Like Murder, She Wrote. Like, it just comes to him. And he's like, it just, and like, it's serious business for him. And then he sees me doing this photo shoot in the woods. And he's like, he's making a mockery of the deep woods thinking. Oh, like you can hear the anger in his voice. He's so mad, bro. Like, Phelps, I own you, dude. You're so mad, bro. I trigger you so bad. Listen to this. And I made you do this podcast, which was supposed to be about John O'Keefe, and you turned it into a whole thing about me because I own you. I own you, motherfucker. Dance, puppet, dance.
Rant on YouTube, where, addressing his audience, he plainly tells us why he got involved in this podcast and, I would argue, the Reed case to begin with.
I'm not. I'm gonna get paid, dude. I need to make money. You want me to be rich, right? You guys like me? It doesn't cost you nothing. I think we can all agree. If I'm rich, that's fucking awesome for everyone. Like, that's cool.
Judge Beverly Canoni has herself been...
Like, he doesn't get the shtick. He doesn't get it. But okay, go ahead. Is that Judge? What about Judge Bev?
Personally and professionally attacked viciously.
Oh, no.
Called the C word, ridiculed and made fun of by social media trolls supporting Turtle Boy, most of whom cowardly hide behind fake names and insult people under anonymous accounts.
Oh my God, you guys made fun of Judge Bev. Oh my God, how uncivilized. How dare we make jokes about an unelected bureaucrat? How dare you guys? Oh my God, so serious stuff. And you guys are hiding behind anonymous names. Yeah, you know, like, was it Braden Carney? Or like, because we know they don't have no one on that side. No. Jill Daniels, Jackie Dougal, they don't do anything like that. But oh yeah, right.
During a hearing just before Karen's trial got underway in 2024, Judge Canoni shoved Karen Reed's ridiculous third-party conspiracy theory down the throats of her attorneys.
Ooh.
All the pomp and circumstance, the wild stories they pushed out into all forms of media and spoon-fed to a self-published criminal blogger were swatted down like an irritating fruit fly in one brilliant judicial statement.
Brilliant.
But first,
So mad.
so in reviewing the motions eliminated, I mean, clearly the defendant has an absolute right, a constitutional right, to present a third-party culprit defense, but counsel is well aware that that is not without limit, right, from the case law. Now, the defendant has stood here, defense counsel has stood in this court repeatedly, stood here and in other venues and in the pleadings, espousing various third-party culprit, no information at all. I don't know who the third-party, are you pursuing a third-party culprit defense?
We are, Your Honor, and I'm prepared to address that. The Commonwealth has raised the issue, and I am prepared to address that today.
So you filed your motions first and you did not raise it. So if the Commonwealth had not raised it, you did not move to introduce it, correct? I have no motion from
No, I understand, Your Honor. If you'd like something in writing for us, we can do that. I have a full argument prepared.
All right, so who is the third-party culprit?
We are under no obligation to name any specific third-party culprit.
How am I supposed to? You're prepared to argue all this?
I'm prepared to argue it.
All right, so we will get
Text messages. Albert, Ryan Higgins.
when we get to the Commonwealth's motion.
All right. Hold on. Quick break. I got to take a leak real quick. Hold on.
Thanks for the info.
What happened?
Oh, that's
What can I
for
put on?
County DA Michael Morrissey, if you recall, posted a
much more affected because Aiden has really focused on her and she's
County DA Michael Morrissey, if you recall, posted a YouTube video categorically proclaiming that Brian Albert, Brian Higgins, Jen and Matt McCabe, Colin Albert, and the rest of those accused had never been part of a so-called federal probe. Karen Reed fed to Turtle Boy in several now
I
public.
am live. I've been live for about an hour. So yeah, turn those notifications on. That's what the YouTubers say, right? Yeah, I've been live for about an hour. I'm just watching this episode that I missed, and there's still a lot left. So I don't know if I'm gonna get to it all tonight because I've already been streaming for an hour, but we're here, and I appreciate that you're here. Thank you so much for subscribing.
Text messages. At one point, Brian Albert and Brian Higgins' attorneys addressed the court pre-trial, doubling down on those facts.
I want to offer to the court to consider as part of your determination here is that after receiving the notice from the Commonwealth last week, I contacted the U.S. Attorney's Office and I spoke to the lead prosecutor in the case.
Okay.
What I want to have the court know is that I have permission to notify the court that Brian Albert, his wife Nicole, his son Brian Jr., and Caitlin are not targets of the federal investigation, and I've been given permission to disclose that in open court. I have a good faith basis to believe is information contained in the materials provided by the federal government to the parties in this case. I've represented Brian Higgins since April 2023, the month when he received the federal grand jury subpoena. Like he has in this case, Brian has cooperated fully with the federal investigation. He has answered every question put to him in both investigations, and he will continue to do so because he has nothing to hide. Brian Higgins is not a target of the federal investigation. That has been confirmed by the United States Attorney's Office and confirmed to me that I can make that representation in court. The U.S. Attorney's Office has continuously confirmed throughout its investigation that Brian Higgins is not a target of their investigation. Brian Higgins has not participated in any kind of a cover-up or conspiracy to cover up the criminal activity of others.
Still, this fantasy that the feds will one day come into town and scoop up the lot of them before riding away with Karen Read on a white horse into her freedom keeps being played by the turtle cultists.
So I noticed Sean of the Gulf shared this podcast, and Sean of the Gulf shared a podcast in which the podcaster says that the feds are never going to swoop in. And what's Sean's big thing? The feds are coming. So I guess Sean is now promoting the idea that the feds are never coming, just in case you think that salty motherfucker.
I love slippers. I flip-flop back and forth between so many different patterns. Like I was making mittens for Christmas, and I used probably 5 different patterns to figure out which one I liked best. Right now this is gonna be like it's called like a microwave bowl cozy, where you put your bowl in it and you can't carry your soup by the edges so you don't burn your fingers on the hot bowl. That's what this is gonna be. We'll have the link to that pattern in the description if you want to take a look. It's pretty easy.
Isn't is on the up and up. Real decent guy.
Why? To muck up the process of justice and conflate things to a point where nobody has any idea what in the hell is going on. And if Karen Read's high-priced LA attorney, Alan Jackson, has mastered one skill, it's that P.T. Barnum style of selling a fantasy.
Barnum, right.
Here's John O'Keefe's best friend, Brendan Kane, who you heard from briefly
This guy's a
earlier
real
in the
gem.
podcast.
This guy's a real gem.
It is a PR campaign, which frankly, we underestimated the impact. Our overall approach in knowing what we knew about the evidence, about the narrative, about the simplest answer usually being the truth. I will just say, Alan Jackson is on 2020, and he actually has the gall to mention Occam's razor as being tied to their narrative. Their narrative involves 50 people in a conspiracy. It is quite literally the opposite of Occam's razor. Occam's razor is she hit him, she left him to die, she covered her tracks. That's the simplest answer. The evidence all backs that up. Every piece of evidence backs that up. Things that have been floated and used as part of the PR campaign, whether it's the 227 search completely debunked, whether it's the dog bites completely debunked at trial.
What?
Anything that they will still rest that. It's 220, there are still people out there that believe 227 happened. It doesn't make sense. She asked the EMT in the back of the ambulance, how long can somebody survive hypothermia? So she asked the EMT the same question she asked Jen McCabe to Google. It all ties together.
Carney pushed this lie that the Alberts, right after John's death, scrambled to sell their house at a big loss so they could sneak out.
Yeah, I never really thought to make it either, but then I was like, oh my gosh, Christmas is coming so close and I'll have like nothing done. So I wanted to try something quick and easy, and I had this really pretty sugar and cream Christmas cotton yarn. I was like, I don't know if I want pot holders. Like everybody has pot holders. Like no one uses pot holders anymore, or you've had the same ones for 800 years. So I was like, oh, these bowl things, like I don't know, not many people that have these like bowl carrier things. So yeah, I didn't think about making them either until I started doing this, and I watched a YouTube video that was like something about quick, easy crochet project or crochet gifts or something like that.
Out of Dodge, and that they remodeled the basement because John was murdered down there. And so they needed to get rid of forensic and trace evidence.
They did sell their house. Okay, and they did get rid of the carpet. Not the carpet. They got rid of the flooring, not the carpet.
Karen even told Vanity Fair, and this is an actual statement by her that was actually printed in that magazine, that she has the carpet.
He's so mad about the Vanity Fair article. He takes so many shots at them. And it's just funny because, bro, the Vanity Fair article was fucking a huge success. One of the most widely read articles in the fucking country. It's huge. And everybody's reading it. Everybody likes it because Julie Miller is good at her job and you're not. That's the difference. So you're not only jealous of me, you're jealous of Julie Miller because she's everything you will never be, Phelpsy, ever.
From the 34 Fairview Road home basement in a temperature-controlled room, but she doesn't have the money to have it forensically tested. Problem is, one Albert source explained to me, they did not have carpet in the basement. What's more, the Alberts contacted a realtor in December.
So, by the way, that the Alberts didn't have, first of all, the source is an Albert, but they don't have carpeting in the basement. Nobody said they did, dipshit. The carpeting's from upstairs. John went up and down flights of stairs. If any of John's DNA is on there, okay.
20 have it forensically tested. Problem is, one Albert source explained to me, they did not have carpet in the basement. What's more, the Alberts contacted a realtor in December 2021, long before John's death, and initiated their plan to sell the home, which emails back up.
He just said that there are emails that show that the Alberts contacted a realtor in December of 2021 to sell their home. Has anyone seen those emails? We're supposed to take Phelps' word for it. And Albert told him there are. Can we see them? Does anyone actually believe if there were emails out there of Brian and Nicole Albert talking to a realtor in December of 2021, that those would not be plastered all over social media? Again, show it to me. Show it to me. Come on. Show me, just like Chloe, show it to me, baby. You can't do it. It's funny. All the shit that would exonerate, they can't.
Yet whenever one piece of fiction is quashed and conveniently disappears from the Turtle Boy collusion canon, the wheel of conspiracy is spun. And whichever ridiculous story the tab stops on next, well, that is what they promote.
Some of the phone data, questions about movement, going up 3 stairs. We know from the data that supposedly when he went up three flights of stairs, he hadn't arrived at the house yet. The only one who stored.
Oh, he wasn't at the house yet. Then how the fuck was he going up and down 3 flights of stairs in Karen's car?
Has changed over the last 2.5 years. Karen, it's constantly changing to fit whatever narrative there is. So she does a 2020 episode that was taped 16 months before it aired, and there are pieces that she covers in that interview that didn't come up at trial, but clearly they expected them to, and she's trying to get out ahead of these things. So her story is constantly changing. In that one 2020 episode, at the beginning of the episode, they note that she told investigators that she dropped Johnny off and went home because she had a stomachache. Then later in the same episode, she notes she has to explain her anger. Why would she leave these angry voicemails? Well, the justification for that was he got out of the car. Now she waited 10 minutes, and that's why she got mad. He didn't come back. He didn't call her to come in. She was just at the bar with these people. Why wouldn't you just go to the door if you're that mad about it? But from I dropped them off, I had a tummy ache, I went home, back home to his house, to I waited 10 minutes. That really pissed me off. That's why I left them angry voicemails. The problem with that story, if you look at the timing of the phone data, is that if she really was there in front of 34 Fair.
This is all these people have. It's like, well, she said this on Dateline, and then she said this on Dateline. Well, wouldn't you do this? Like this, I cannot believe people are this retarded. I said it before, and I'll say it again. John O'Keefe deserved better friends than this, than Brendan Kane. I mean, this poor fucking guy, that this is all he had for friends. That he was just surrounded by people who were this retarded his whole life is one of the biggest tragedies of John O'Keefe's existence. I wish I knew John O'Keefe so that I could be friends with him and he could have someone in his social circle who was intelligent. Someone. Because these people are just too stupid. They're just too stupid. I don't even know. All they talk about is like, well, you said this on Dateline and then you said this on 2020. And why'd you stay outside the house? And why'd you say this? Why'd you say you were going to wait for him? And why, bro? How about the fact that fucking 2 guys with PhDs said he wasn't going to buy a car? That means a lot more to me than fucking this. Like, what are you talking about? Oh my God. I can't even stand these people.
For 10 minutes, Johnny's phone stopped moving in that time period. So she would have been physically present when he arrived at his final resting spot.
Wait, what? Wait, say that one more
I could
time?
spend this final
Is that if she really was there in front of 34 Fairview for 10 minutes, Johnny's phone stopped moving in that time period. So she would have been physically present when he arrived at his final resting spot.
No. The phone stops moving at 12:32. Karen arrived there at 12:20. Because John's phone goes up and down 3 flights of stairs starting at 12:21 to 12:24. What are you talking about? Do you even know the facts of this case like I do, motherfucker?
I could spend this final episode of the series talking about the trial, rehashing testimony, mention the mistakes made by the Commonwealth during the prosecution of
Talking
Karen,
about Turtle Boy.
the incompetent parts of the investigation, the so-called nefarious inverted videos, a lead investigator calling the defendant the C word, the Canton Police Department using leaf blowers, the supposed butt dials and unanswered calls, the plow truck driver who never saw a body, which would have been covered in snow anyway, on the front lawn of...
Yeah, you didn't talk about the plow. You didn't talk about the 222 calls. You didn't talk about the federal investigation. You don't talk about Josh Levy. You don't talk about any of this. You talk about me, Phelpsy, because I'm in your head because of the glamour shoot that I did in the backyard, in the woods. That's what's really eating me up.
34 Fairview Road, but then was uncertain of the time he drove down Fairview. Expert witnesses misinterpreting data and computer forensics. An alleged dog bite expert who looked half asleep and reached out to Karen after reading about her, but never analyzed any actual evidence.
She never analyzed any evidence. She analyzed the fucking pictures, motherfucker. And she looked half asleep. That's all you have to say about
Lady
Dr.
was
Marie
the
Russell
smartest
is that she
lady.
looked half asleep. I mean, these fucking
Dr. Marie Russell is like the smartest lady I've ever seen in my life. Who else has done all the things that she's done? Especially back in that day and age. No one I can think of.
people.
State police experts, not fully schooled in what they were talking about, and so on and so forth. That is all noise, however. None of it proves anything. The trial was a ridiculous display of what money can buy you in the
If it doesn't prove anything, then how do you vote her guilty? If none of it proves anything.
form of creating confusion and spewing speculation. Create doubt by making up false narratives, omission, and even lying. And for the time being, all of that money is keeping Karen Read's head above water. And yet she is still treading vigorously with what many think will be a dam breaking open and a flood drowning her very soon. At times, Karen would stop and take pictures with supporters, even children, sign autographs during rallies and fundraisers, and on her way in and out of court. She once compared her battle for justice as being akin to Vietnam War protesters. Yes, an accused murder defendant signing autographs for fans and aligning herself with a war movement. In my opinion, this tells us all we need to know about Karen Read and underscores what was actually missing from the entire trial fiasco. John O'Keefe. So,
again, so let's debunk that narrative right now. What do I have right here? Erica Walsh sent me this one. He said that there was nothing about outside the trial about John O'Keefe. Well, let's check that out. Let's go check out some pictures, shall we? Oh, yeah. Oh, what's that? What do we see in the corner there? Oh, justice for John. There it is. Some pictures there. Some fine people. What do we got here? What's here? Oh, what's that down in front? What's that? Oh, John O'Keefe. There he is. What do we got over here? Oh, there he is. Who's that guy? Who's this guy right there? Next to, oh, yeah. What about this one? What does this say on the sign? Say his name. Say whose name? Oh, Officer John O'Keefe. And Lizzie Proctor tried to get me fired. He forgot to mention that too. Yeah, how about that? But let's go back. Phelpsy. Besides that, yeah, there was no one outside. Again, this is called what's called receipts. We call this in my neck of the woods. Phelpsy, something you would know nothing about.
in spite of going through the defense's case, which was fought more in the court of public opinion anyway, with a hired gun posing as a reptile, I want to allow John O'Keefe's best friend to speak and say what needs to be said. Because John O'Keefe, a guy who dedicated his working life to public service and personal life to the needs of his family, deserves our respect. His family deserves our sympathy. And his friends deserve a voice.
Time's almost up on holiday shopping
Seasons.
And growing up, what kind of kid was he?
Yeah, growing up together, he's just a really funny guy. Super athletic. He had a couple inches of height on most of us growing up. He was always taller. Really good basketball player, good baseball player, good soccer player. He's one of those guys kind of good at anything he did. And he picked up growing up in the neighborhood, grew up on the same street.
Again, Johnny O'Keefe, great guy, awesome fella. Knew him my whole life. Let me tell you some stories about us growing up playing basketball. He was tall. Take the shirt off your back. Got it all. None of that helps figure out the mystery of who killed John O'Keefe. So I'm just going to fast forward to that part.
Kind of prototype. Growing up, Johnny always wanted to be a police officer. The time to actually get on the force. He had applied to a number.
Think of what's going on right now.
I think primarily, he was a strong believer in justice. I think that he wanted to help the community. And that's really what drove him.
You know, we can stay there, but I just want to veer off for 1 second. Justice, what would he think of what's going on right now?
I think primarily the thing that would upset him the most is the way that his family has been treated through this process. Unconscionable behavior in attacking a murder victim's family, whether it's online or in person on the steps of.
Now, see, the thing about John O'Keefe, if John O'Keefe was here now, what would he say if the ghost of John O'Keefe come down? Well, the thing about John O'Keefe is John O'Keefe knows how John O'Keefe was killed. So John O'Keefe knows that he went inside that house and he got beaten to a pulp and chewed up by a dog and thrown out on the lawn. John O'Keefe knows that. So what he would probably think is how horrible he feels that the fact that Karen Read, that he's not around to tell the world that his girlfriend didn't kill him. That's probably the first thing that he'd be thinking. And then as far as his family goes, he'd probably feel the same way I did. That Mom and Paul, what the fuck are you doing? Open your fucking eyes. Literally every piece of evidence has been handed to you and you're not listening to it. Oh, what is wrong with you, Mom? That's what he would probably be thinking. But go ahead.
Courthouse, that would upset him to an unholy degree.
It's hard to fathom how difficult all of this must be for John O'Keefe's family and friends. The idea that he was taken from them at such a young age, and then to have to deal with a cult, Karen Read, her attorneys, and the onslaught of venomous attacks, it just adds a thicker layer of scum and pain and emotional injury on top of everything else. Karen Read and Aidan Carney will have to answer to it all ultimately, when they are undoubtedly hit with one civil suit after the next by each of the witnesses and others.
Yeah. Bring it on. Bring it on. I've been told I'd be getting sued a long time ago. How come I haven't been sued yet? What is stopping? I mean, they sued her already, right? Nothing, and she's on trial. What is stopping any of these people from suing me? Nothing. Except the fact that they can't win. Because everything, they don't want to fucking take the stand. Imagine them being deposed. By my attorneys. Imagine that. Yeah, now yous can't leave. Picture that.
The O'Keefe family has already filed a lawsuit against Karen and the Waterfall Bar. And keep in mind,
how's that
O.J. Simpson was found not guilty in criminal court, but the Goldman and Brown families destroyed the guy in civil court, taking everything he had.
Yeah, because there was evidence that this fucking bloody glove, DNA. They don't have any of that with this. They have fucking two ARCA guys that are going to say it's impossible to get hit by a car. The civil suit's not going anywhere anyway.
Yeah, it's really kind of hard to believe when you take a step back, and this has been a reality for.
Hello, Vixen. I was not paying attention. I was trying to count. I'm not good at counting, so that was a feat. But hello.
2.5, a little over 2.5 years, to think that one person could cause such destruction across such a wide berth of people involved in the case. It kind of just doesn't compute.
I kept going back in my mind to John's niece and nephew and the immense losses those children have endured. First, both parents within months of each other, and John after that. Then to see and hear the attacks launched against their family members and even them. Their capacity for pain and loss defies the idea of what a human being is designed to handle. How strong these kids are.
Yeah, I agree. Those kids are victims. Those kids have been lied to. They're told that the woman who was in their life and acted like a motherly figure to them was a cold-blooded murderer the whole time. That's what they've been told. And they've been told this by the people who murdered their uncle after their mother and father.
Right, I'm getting there too. I've been screaming for like an hour and a half, and there's still like so long left on this video. It's not live. It's one from the other day. So I don't know why I didn't put it on like 2 times speed. I just didn't even think about it. Well, maybe not 2 times. He already tells fast, but crank it up a little bit. Why is the quality so bad?
Father died. Yeah, it is actually horrific. You're right about that, Phelps, but not the way.
I think about how different it might be for them. And all of that negative energy created by Karen Read, her attorneys, and Turtle Boy had been love and reinforcement.
I think he was very focused on kind of doing a fresh start to the kids, to get them out of the house where both of the parents had passed. He wanted a reset and to kind of start over and give the kids like a fresh approach, not just with him raising them, but with the new environment.
Moving to Meadows and raising the kids, John put his dreams on hold for the sake of.
He was a really hard worker. So growing up, we worked at a gas station together in our hometown.
Again, I love John O'Keefe. Much respect to him. It just doesn't have much of the story hearing about him working at a gas station with. So we're going to fast forward through that part.
Relationship started to do extra shifts, extra detail. Was 3 or 4 weeks before he was murdered. He had dinner back in Braintree before he went home, late at night, 9:30, 10 o'clock, and I walked away from that feeling really good about the relationship. To be honest, the important piece to note is that for it sounds exclusively the folks that love Johnny, everybody in the circle really liked Karen. Nobody had an axe to grind with Karen. People say that the folks that are believing Karen's guilt, well, they hated. Nobody hated Karen. I didn't hate Karen, so she killed a friend.
Did she drink a lot that day?
From noon till 9. Karen drank from noon till 9.
So she could handle her liquor. She put it away.
She was a professional.
How would
That was
you
clear.
know?
Handle her liquor.
Time's almost up on how.
I got a call at 10 a.m. on January 29, 2022 from another close friend we grew up with who just said that Johnny's dead. And I said, what? He said, I don't need details. Give Paul a call, Johnny's brother. I called Paul immediately. I said, what happened? Things were still unclear at that point. A few hours after he had died, Paul just come back from the hospital. And, they go through the most logical conclusions. The initial assumption was, God, what could have happened here? Could he possibly have been hit by a plow? Everyone knew there was a huge blizzard. I couldn't even physically get over to Canton on the 29th. I wasn't able to get over there until the following day, first thing in the morning. And when I arrived, the house was full of Johnny's family. And then shortly after I got there, Carrie Roberts walked in. And we went to the back living room. And I sat down and she started to recount everything that she experienced.
And what were you thinking? I mean, what was going through your mind besides the grief that started to settle on you?
Yes, the grief hadn't hit yet. Still, everybody in the room was still in shock. A lot of tears, but that room was full of shock. It could not. It just didn't make sense. For me personally, and when I look back on this experience, part of me recognizes that of all the friendships I've ever had in my life, I might have taken my friendship with Johnny.
I mean, this adds nothing.
That's for sure. 4 a.m. Holy cow. All right. Have a good night. Sleep tight. See you in a live stream tomorrow, probably somewhere.
bad
thing.
necessarily, but because he was just always there from the time I was 4. No matter where I was, no matter what I was doing, no matter where I lived,
It's
no matter
all
what he was
about you,
doing.
Brian.
We always
It's all
remained in
about you,
contact.
right.
We could go 2-3 weeks
It's all
without
about
talking.
you.
Pick up the phone, like I saw him the day before.
Yeah,
Always
yeah.
present. So for me,
Yeah.
when I try to think too much about this,
That's a
it's
lot.
not about me, but the loss
It's not
was
about you.
enormous.
Right,
It's
totally
a
not
40-year
about
friendship that was persistent throughout every phase of my life, and now he's gone.
An entirely preventable death. I go back to those videos of John O'Keefe at the Waterfall Bar on January 29th. There he is, smiling, hugging people, a happy bounce in his step, leaving near midnight. Knowing that within 30 minutes or so, his life will be over is chilling, deepening the reality, and intensifying the loss for his loved ones.
The 30th, I met Meadows and I sit down,
Yeah, he was
and I'm talking to Kerry,
also,
and Johnny's a good friend of the force.
Karen Reed was also hugging and happy with people. So why would she kill him if she was hugging him and being happy? And everyone said they were being cute, and that one couple said that the wife got mad at the husband for never being that cute with her when they were out.
Sits down next to me. Kerry never met him at the time, and she's recounting her story. And the one thing I'll note is everything she told me that morning on the couch was identical to her testimony in court. Not one piece of her testimony changed from the day after she recounted what happened. She hadn't processed what had happened. She wasn't sure what had happened, so she just walked me through every bit of it.
And Kerry Roberts was like the least interesting witness of all. Like, what Kerry Roberts wasn't at the house that night. Her experience was being in the car with Karen that morning and finding John O'Keefe's body with her. So, I mean, they didn't even cross-examine her because she was completely uninteresting.
From her perspective, from the time Karen called her,
Oh, I know. It's supposed to snow. It hasn't started yet, but it's supposed to snow. So I am looking forward to just snuggling up tomorrow after work. It'll be so nice. So cozy. That's what I'm kind of doing that on the couch right now while I'm live streaming with my dogs and my blankies and like crocheting.
she gets out of bed early in the morning in a blizzard on behalf of Johnny. She did that for Johnny, and look what she got for that harassment. And that makes no sense. As Kerry's explaining the story, the blizzard had begun, and it was now in force. And Kerry said that she was white knuckling from Meadows to Fairview and could not see more than 2 or 3 feet in front of her. The snow was that thick. Somehow, some way, Karen knew exactly where Johnny's body lay, and that was the moment for me. That was the first question. How did she know where he was located?
Probably because he was 6'2", 200 pounds, and lying in less than an inch of snow, illuminated by other snow. Probably that's how, I'm guessing. And they were out looking for him. So there's that. That's how she noticed him.
Because Kerry and Jen could not see that front yard from the car.
Oh, yeah.
And when I said that to Kerry, I said, she did this. Did you go back after you hit him? Unclear. There was library video that indicated she moved in that direction. They didn't connect those dots at the first trial. The question I have is, how did you know where Johnny was? Because the answer is not, you could see him. I believe in some texture referred to as a buffalo on a prairie. Her verbatim lines dehumanize Johnny in some way, an animal on the ground. But to me, the fact that Kerry and Jen both contend.
That was in a text to me. She said that it was impossible to miss. It was like a buffalo on the prairie. Oh, yeah. God forbid she use analogies. God forbid. She's really dehumanizing there. Sure thing, Captain Dipshit. God, again, horrible. I mean, listen to this guy fucking talk. I'm like, God, poor John O'Keefe. This is what he was born into in Braintree. Was this fucking loser? Oh, God, he deserves so much better.
But the visibility was so poor. It was pitch dark when they arrived. It was not done yet. Pitch dark in a blizzard with no visibility. And he's at least 8 feet off the street.
Who was the one person you didn't see at the Waco funeral?
One person I didn't see, that was Karen. Karen did not attend the funeral.
No, if anyone
Yep.
has grown up in snow, but even if you are in the middle of nowhere, it is so much brighter when there's snow on the ground. Even if there's no stars, no moon, no nothing, it is so much brighter when there's snow on the ground than if it was like a summer night with no snow on the ground. So for this guy to be like, it was pitch black. I live in Wisconsin. Like in the winter, it's barely ever pitch black if there's snow on the ground. The snow like illuminates everything.
Get a fucking order, numbnuts. She's not allowed to attend it.
It was a bad.
Karen had a stay away order
Ah,
after her arrest,
okay.
which prevented her from attending.
There we
Yet,
go.
during the fall of 2024, a Vanity Fair reporter, writing an obvious puff piece, interviewed Karen. Instead of taking the opportunity,
Writing an obvious puff piece, right? And he's so jealous of Julie Miller. This woman lived with Karen for 3 days, asked her fucking everything, and Karen specifically told her nothing is off limits. Her lawyers weren't even there. But it's a puff piece. A puff piece, sure thing.
offer sympathy and condolences to John's family. During that interview, Karen insensitively attacked the service. John's funeral was a standard service for a fallen officer, with bagpipe players and all that goes with showing a bit of Irish respect for a man and civil servant loved by so many and taken too early. Karen, however, bashes the funeral in Vanity Fair, calling the bagpipes and saluting police officers, quote, pomp and performative, adding, quote, this whole Irish cop departed bagpipe thing. There's nothing holy about this. I think it is the biggest farce, maybe only second to my trial, that the people who were there in the cold outside the church were nowhere to be found in terms of actually delivering justice to John O'Keefe.
Amen. And he doesn't like, it's too truthful for you, huh? The truth hurts, Phelpsy, huh? It's true. And by the way, none of those cops at the trial, at the funeral, come to the trial. They don't come to anything. They normally do. They did for Michael Chestnut because they knew that Michael Chestnut's killer was the one in the.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. So for him to say, unless you're like in the woods or something, because like with tree cover, there might not be as much snow in the woods. But if you're in, say, someone's front yard and there's snow everywhere, it's a lot brighter, especially like to see a person. If you're looking for a person. You're in southern Wisconsin. I'm in central Wisconsin. That's very interesting. Oh, we should have put that. Yeah, no lights. The snow makes everything brighter. It just does. And it makes everything quieter. So if you were gonna back up and hit something with all of the quietness of the snow, someone would have heard it
in the courtroom
and seen it.
But they don't come for Karen. I wonder why. You ever think about that one, Phelpsy?
Once again, remarkably, but not at all surprisingly, same as she has done in every interview she's given, Karen Read makes it about her.
Oh, no.
Even the funeral of a man she claimed to love.
From the moment that I got the call that Johnny was dead, whether it was on TV, in print, or at trial, Karen has never showed a single hint of remorse over losing her boyfriend.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Brendan Kane is an intelligent guy, observant, detail-oriented.
Yeah, he's real intelligent.
And in speaking to him, this overwhelming sense of sincerity and honesty came through. Just one more good person in the world who never dreamed of becoming part of such a tragedy and fiasco. Brendan refuses to utter the name Turtle Boy or Aiden Carney. He doesn't go online. He doesn't listen to or watch any of the nonsense. He refuses to give Turtle Boy a second of his time, a thought, not one click or one impression. Nothing.
Yeah,
when I first started this project, I viewed Aiden Carney as a part of the story one cannot overlook if you are in my position. I gave the guy.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I'm in central Wisconsin, and yeah, with streetlights or even like the tiniest little bit of like somebody's house light, like you're gonna see everything, especially if it's like a dark object on the white snow. I'm in like the Marathon County, like near Wausau area, around there. So like directly in the middle.
The benefit of doubt. Prove to me there is a conspiracy. I am more than willing to take that journey with you. Show me documented proof, evidence. He proved nothing. More importantly, morally speaking, there came a point as I was reporting on this story when it felt as if I was being dragged in as a co-conspirator to promote lies on my platform. And so I needed to put the brakes on that and, same as I have done for 25 years, stick to the facts of the case.
Oh, so now he's explaining why he suddenly switched. Like you guys read the messages, the emails. I've shown you. He was all into this. And by the way, he interviewed Meredith. She didn't appear once throughout this whole thing. I wonder why that is. Probably because she said good things about me, Phelpsy. And she also debunked this whole thing about crying and blah, blah, blah. That never happened. Didn't include any of that, did you, buddy? Nope.
As the podcast started publishing in October 2024, Aiden Carney began his predictable onslaught of blatant lies, encouraged game stalking, harassment, and baseless, untrue professional attacks. He went after my relationship with my kids, posted pictures of one of them.
Your relationship with your kids, the non-existent one? You're the one. I didn't go after you. I pointed out the fact that you told me right over there. I was sitting in that chair. You were sitting in that one. And you told me, while my kids were here, by the way, because I see my kids, you told me that you had an illegitimate love child with a crazy woman and then you blamed her for getting pregnant as if you didn't drop a hot one in her, as if it just fucking happened on her own. Because you couldn't use the Turtle Boy birth control method and just fucking toss it all over her. You couldn't fucking do that. You had to nut inside, didn't you? And somehow that's her fault because she's crazy. And now you don't really get to see her, the kid, that much. You specifically told me that, Phelpsy. So don't say that's a lie. And it was also in a response to your other bullshit. I mean, you want to get slimy, I'll get slimy. I'm a counterpuncher.
My houses, his predictable onslaught of blatant lies, encouraged game stalking, harassment, and baseless, untrue professional attacks. He went after my relationship with my kids, posted pictures of one of my houses on...
Pictures of one of my houses. This dude read my fucking address on his podcast and described the house. That's what he fucking did. He did that. He read... And then I fucking respond to that. Again, I'm a counterpuncher. This guy acts like he did nothing. And the gang stalking, I know. Gang, what the fuck? It's cringe hearing him say that. They're so cringe. Him and Phelps, him and Valentinus.
I threatened me and so much more.
Wait, I threatened him?
Through professional attacks. He went after my relationship with my kids, posted pictures of one of my houses online, threatened me and so much more.
When did I threaten him? I showed what a shitty house he had to point out that he's poor, to point out that this big successful fucking dude allegedly lives in a fucking shitbox in Coventry, Rhode Island, in Coventry, Connecticut. That's all I was doing. I was pointing out how unsuccessful you are. I'm successful to the point where I can afford to get divorced, just give her the fucking house, all the fucking equity, and then rent my own shit, and then pay a whole bunch of fucking money in child support because I'm successful, unlike you. You're a fucking loser who lives in a shitbox. That's what you are. And you love child, fucking, you don't get to see him very often, do you?
He accused me of changing my position because I got mad at him and began not to like him.
True.
He does this with everybody. But the fact is, frankly speaking, I didn't like the guy before I started the project.
Whoa.
Yet as a journalist with ethics, none of that is anything.
You didn't like me before he started the project. All the shit you loved me. You fucking loved me when you were here. You actually brought my kids donuts. I mean, you fed my kids more than you did your own. So there's that, didn't you?
To do with the facts. Because the bottom line is, again, there is zero evidence supporting a conspiracy and frame job. All of it is speculation and lies.
So again,
And again, I thought this was supposed to be about John O'Keefe. You're making it about you. You're the victim now, Phelpsy. Okay.
from my own personal history. Prior to Johnny's murder, I'd never met Jen McCabe. I'd never met Albert my entire life. I went to high school with Terry Roberts. I was always in front of Terry. We're much closer now. From my own personal perspective, again, this isn't about me. But early on in the process, we go to I went to every motion hearing. My wife and I went to the motion hearing, and on the way out, the circus started, and people were yelling stuff, and we get followed down the street by a blogger who was just yelling stuff at us. And I'm trying to figure out what he's saying, and he's essentially calling us disgusting, and that we were quote protecting the real murderers. So at that moment, we're still kind of going through everything, trying to process the chaotic scene. It's fight or flight. It's like the best thing to do here is just walk away. I'm not trying to dialogue with this person. But we get to my car, and the first thing I said to my wife is, they're suggesting that we're protecting people we never met before. I have all the evidence from the moment this happened. Every piece of factual evidence that has come through, and every piece of evidence presented says Karen Read killed John O'Keefe.
Not really, but okay.
There is a video of Karen Read's sister-in-law walking behind Karen's SUV that morning of the murder, and the sister-in-law, as she comes to that back right taillight, stops dead in her tracks and stares at it. You can almost feel what is surely a light bulb moment, as if, holy shit, what is this? A broken taillight on Karen's vehicle, and John is dead.
Yeah, that's what it is. He sees a fucking video. She looks at the back of the car. Well, she must be thinking, fuck, Karen Read did this. But he's just following the facts. He's just mind reading now, doing a little mind reading.
2 and 2 always make 4.
Oh,
And she definitely appears to look at it. I mean, in addition, if you look, her rubber brushes the snow off the car, but does not brush that back right taillight.
But she gave an indication or kind of admitted what happened in the 2020 interview early on. She says, I thought I might have flipped him, and I thought in his drunkenness he might have passed out.
So there you go. I believe her. I do believe she clipped him. But there it is again. She's assigning responsibility to Johnny in this case. She's assigning responsibility to the.
again, we've been over this a million times. She said that because she's explaining it to Dateline. What were your initial thoughts when you thought this? And you're like, I thought initially, could I have hit him? Like, could I have clipped him? Like, could I have done this? Like, what could have happened? Because she had no idea that John was in the house getting the shit kicked out of him. That hadn't clicked to her yet. Because who the fuck would ever think that? I mean, it's just, I can't believe we're still talking about this. We're not. They are.
With that line, in his drunkenness, it's his fault. She refuses to take responsibility. The irony to me here, and this goes to my head all the time.
And like, yeah, it's like, it's John does take some responsibility. I know John's dead, and we all love John. But if John had just gone home that night, none of this would have fucking happened. He never would have got killed by the McAlberts. He never would have put Karen in a position where she's now framed for the murder if he had just gone home. Like, that's just a fact, right? If he had, why was Karen driving? Why is John the fucking driver? Why isn't John driving? Why is Karen the driver? I don't know.
She had just stuck with Yannetti's initial version. It was an accident. She loved this man. There was no intent. If that had happened, and she got the minimum sentence in Massachusetts of death caused by DUI, 5 years, then she has 10 years. She has no record. She would be out of jail by now.
Yeah.
And all these people's
Go to
lives
jail
in
for a
the
little
room because one person with privilege didn't want to take responsibility for her arrest.
Just go to jail.
That's it.
Karen, just go to jail a couple of years. You'll be fine.
Brendan makes a sobering point here, that in every interview Karen Read has given, ABC, NBC, local affiliates, Vanity Fair, she snubs responsibility, places it not only on John O'Keefe, but Jennifer McCabe, Colin Albert, Brian Albert, the Commonwealth, and so on.
I mean,
She never once sheds a tear for the immense loss the O'Keefe family have had to deal with, and shows no
that she had to deal with too, by the way. The O'Keefe family, fuck the O'Keefe family, right? That she had to deal with, right? Why the fuck would you cry for the O'Keefe family who is sitting there in court accusing you of a crime you didn't commit? I wouldn't cry for them either. They can get fucked.
empathy for those involved.
Never
All
seen
of them
that.
have endured relentless attacks, personal and emotional injury. After all, if the truth of what happened is her goal, Karen Read could demand that all of this polarization and attacking by some of the Free Karen Read movement stop immediately.
Oh, she could
But
demand.
instead, she signs autographs, holds fundraisers for herself,
Yeah, she holds. Oh no, not fundraisers for her legal fees. Oh no. Yeah, she should be demanding that her supporters stop supporting her. Right. Good job.
and takes pictures with those involved in perpetrating and perpetuating a narrative that has never been proven, metaphorically spitting on John's grave.
Spitting on.
Time's almost up on holiday shopping,
What a
and so are amazing deals at
loser.
Amazon. You'll save so much on
So
One person in this who has been absolutely vilified and made fun of and attacked relentlessly is Norfolk County Prosecutor Adam Lally. The
Oh,
guy couldn't
no.
even step outside alone during trial breaks
No,
and have a cigarette
Lally.
without someone from the Turtle Cult filming and ridiculing him on social media. There is no doubt Lally wishes he'd done some things different. He is a smart, dedicated, ethical prosecutor with a solid reputation. All of these people attacking the guy know nothing about what went on behind
Oh,
the
it's
scenes.
real
Instead,
Adam
they
Lally.
judge, verbally assault, and defame him on social media,
Poor Adam
all because
Lally.
the guy is doing his job.
Oh, yeah.
The Commonwealth has hired outlier Hank Brennan, a former defense attorney who actually represented organized crime figure icon Whitey Bulger, to prosecute Karen Read during her scheduled second trial in January 2025. Brennan is a no-holds-barred trial attorney. recognized by Super Lawyers of Massachusetts and named one of the country's top 100 trial lawyers by the National Trial Lawyers Association.
Top 100.
Lally and co-prosecutor Laura McLaughlin, who were overwhelmed during the first trial, will assist Brennan.
I haven't seen him do much assisting. There's a lot of sitting there. No, they just sit there. They're going to bring a sandwich.
We're hearing nothing but great things about him. We feel like this is a, again, I will say, and I'll speak for myself, I'm very, very glad that Adam Lally is still on the team. The way that Adam Lally and Lauren McLaughlin treated the family through the process, again, I have nothing to compare it to. They were tremendously respectful of the family and friends. They would take their time with us.
I love how this is all they have. They were really nice to the family. Lally was really nice to the family. Prosecuting, we don't want to talk about that, but he's really nice to the family.
Things people had questions, to me, they couldn't have handled that part of this process any better. I think they're wonderful people, and I think that Adam Lally is very, very intelligent. I think he knows more about this case than anybody. I think that what he was up against was potentially an immovable force in that first trial. Throwing so much against the wall to see what sticks. The defense has lesser restrictions.
He's right about that. It was an immovable force. Like the facts were heavily against Lally, and there wasn't much he could work with there.
I'm all fuzzy in the way he has to question witnesses. So I was very happy. I hope Hank is everything everyone says he is. I'm very hopeful, but I'm very glad to hear that Laura and Adam will be there on the team with him. I think that's the ideal situation.
Thank God.
Hank Brennan knows how the system works on the opposite side. And so he has that advantage, not to mention a far more advanced legal mind than Alan Jackson.
What?
In keeping with who
He has a far more advanced mind than Alan Jackson, bro. You're so fucking salty. Like, says what? What's that based on? I thought you were just following the facts. What fact is that? Okay, go ahead.
And right on cue, within hours of it being announced, Hank Brennan was taking over. Turtle Boy attacks Brennan, but also Brennan's wife, which within that small bubble of Boston is probably not the smartest thing Aidan Carney could have done.
Wait, I attacked his wife? Where did this come from? I attacked his wife. I pointed out that his wife also works in the courts, aka he comes from a family of political hacks. That's what I was pointing out. That's attacking the wife. You can't even mention the fact that she also works in the courts. Like, okay, Spanky.
Karen's first trial ended in a mistrial, a hung jury. Her lawyers and Free Karen Reid view that as a win. Except the state immediately announced it would try her again. And I am told by someone in the prosecution's camp that they will continue to try her again and again if the jury hangs.
They will try her. So this, I don't know if this is true. He's talking to someone in the DA's office who says they will try her again and again. Think of how fucking evil that is and immoral and unethical. We will try you again and again and again. Did you not see trial 4? Did you not see that? Did you not see that? Everything that was wrong with that. The idea that maybe if you can't get a conviction, maybe you should stop. Maybe there's something wrong with your case. We'll just do it again and again and again. And guess what, motherfucker? We'll be here. I don't want to be here again and again and again. I want to move on to a new thing, but we ain't got no quit. We're not going anywhere. If this ends in a mistrial, we're not going anywhere, bro. We'll be back. We'll be back. I will ride this out as long as we have to. We are going nowhere, ever. And I hope he's ready for that, ever. There should be a limit and put in place. Absolutely, there should. Like, if you can't get her on the fucking third try, that should be it. 3 strikes and you're out. And the longer this goes, the longer the federal investigation goes.
Till they get the result they believe represents justice for John O'Keefe and his family. It's hard to believe a guy facing over a dozen felony counts with all the evidence needed to convict him available on his YouTube channel and his self-published blog will escape every one of those charges without serious jail time.
He thinks I'm going to get serious jail time. Bro, I'm never going to jail. You just understand that. If you have to be, even the biggest critics have to know in the heart of hearts, I ain't going to jail. Like, stop it. Even if I was convicted, I wouldn't fucking go to jail. You're not going to jail for YouTube comments. It's Massachusetts, okay? It's not going to happen. I'm not going to fucking jail over this. Stop it. Nobody's going to fucking jail. I mean, you have to be fucking delusional if you think that. And all these charges, bro, are going to get dismissed or I am going to be acquitted. Understand that. And I cannot wait for this. I can't wait because everything I've done is constitutional.
This is a guy who judges people, demeans them, shames women, weaponizes his self-published blog to control and intimidate people, posts lies, personal photographs, posts cherry-picked documents supporting an unproven, ridiculous theory set forth by a woman accused of murder. A guy who has no idea how to interpret evidence or court documents, even in the myriad cases he himself.
I have no ability to do what with court documents?
Faith in ridiculous theory set forth by a woman accused of murder. A guy who has no idea how to interpret evidence or court documents, even.
I have no idea how to interpret evidence or court documents. Not like Phelpsy. Phelpsy's an expert at that. What do I know? I just fucking, I have the ability to read and I can understand what words mean, right? Even what?
In the myriad cases he himself is facing. He believes free speech covers anything he says and does. Then, when I question his theories and demand proof of a conspiracy, he sets out to defame, intimidate, shame, libel, personally and professionally attack me.
Okay, so I have not defamed, libeled, or threatened him. None of those things have happened. Because in order to do that, Phelps, you have to lie. Can you tell me one lie I've said about you? Tell me the lie. Tell me the lie. I can have opinions about you. I think you're a fraud. And I can back that up with facts. I can 100%. You claim to be some star journalist and podcaster. Yeah, your podcast is filled with easily disprovable lies. So that's the definition of a fraud, my dude. That's my opinion. Can you prove any of this, dude? I mean, what a loser. He is so obsessed with me.
Encourages his cult to give this podcast bad reviews. Repeatedly called.
Have I ever encouraged any of you to give it bad reviews? Have I done any of that?
No, in fact, I've done the exact opposite. I've been very careful with that one because I don't want to violate the contract because I want my money. You're going to pay me, Phelps. You understand that? What little money this podcast made, I will get my 40%. Just understand that. I've never once urged anyone to give this a bad review. If that has happened, which I assume it has, that happened organically because it sucks. I can't help that. But go ahead.
Me a liar, attacks my business manager, and leaves disgusting voicemails using sophomore slur.
So attacks my business manager, Valentinus. What he fails to point out is he's also my business manager. Or was. I fired his ass. He was at one point my business manager, which created the whole conflict of interest in the first place. And then he plays this sophomoric voicemail.
Amongst GCF, both your mom, you got a monopoly. I cannot beat you in that demographic. You have got that locked down, my friend. So, you got that going good. And you got that going good.
In one, he references computer forensics expert Jessica Hyde, who wore a headscarf on the witness stand. If you recall, Hyde disproved that ridiculous conspiracy theory about a Jennifer McCabe 2:27 a.m. Google search that never happened. After citing my description of Miss Hyde, he uses a racist remark.
She has an academic look to her. She looks like she's got to go to World Trade Center. What are you talking about an academic look to her? Where you get that from, Chelsea? You're making shit up. Come on. I think you're better than this, but I don't think you are. So just stop your filters and call me back, all right? Talk to you later. Bye.
So he's saying that she looked like she's going to blow up the World Trade Center is a racist remark. Bro, she's white. I don't know if you noticed that. Her name is Jessica Hyde. She's like the whitest person ever. It's weird that she wears that fucking do-rag. And it's also a joke. That's the funny part about it. It's white, and she's wearing a fucking head rag for some reason like that. Like, what's up with that? He's misappropriating terrorists, you know? They should be offended. I'm calling him right now. I'm leaving him another voicemail. Let's call him. Call him Phelpsy up.
Hi, you've reached investigative journalist Emily M. Phelps. Please leave your name and number. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks.
At the tone, please record your message. When you've finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
Hello, this is investigative journalist A. Timothy Carney calling. I'm just listening to your really low-rated podcast, Crossing the Lines. Apparently, the only line it's crossing is the below 100 line in the top-rated podcasts, but that's neither here nor there. I wanted to discuss, you seem really upset, my dude, about me in general. About, was it, can I ask you a question? Was it the photo shoot? Was it the photo shoot? Be honest, Phelpsy. I know this is part 10, so you can't play this part in your next podcast, but I wish you could. Can you answer the question for me? Did the photo shoot really make you that sad? Because I get a lot of thinking done out there. I solve a lot of crimes in the backyard. I go deep. I put on my leather jacket. I go for a walk into the woods, and I stare into the abyss. I lean against the tree, and I get serious, man. I get serious out there. I'm like you.
Those phone calls he makes remind me of my dad, because my dad, let's just say he's called some political offices and made similar rants to political figures. We'll just say that. So these calls remind me of my dad.
I'm a real serious guy. Okay. So I apologize if that offended you, but that's just where I get a lot of thinking done. Now, I understand that, you're really salty about this and you're mad about this, but that doesn't give you a right. You can't be going up making shit up about the jail, right? Who are your sources? You got no sources. You got any sources? Who are your sources in there? Who are they? Who'd you talk to in there? Because none of that shit's true, Phelpsy, and it's untrue. And are you mad that I pointed out the baby? Because you told me about the illegitimate love child. We were sitting right here. You brought my real kids real donuts, okay, that I have. I know, I understand a little salty. You don't get to see the love child that often, but you told me that, Phelpsy. Don't lie. Don't lie about the love child, okay? Free that love child. Maybe you should do a little more effort in going to see that love child and getting away from the crazy person who you compared to Lindsay Catani. You did that, Phelpsy. You did that. So anyway, you haven't called me back in a while. You're really mad. I think we should just talk. Maybe have a meal of food about this, discuss it. And, I know Valentinus is mad. He doesn't need any more food. We've seen Valentinus. You got to take it easy.
Have a meal of food about
lunch,
this.
okay? You should work out instead. So anyway, give me a call back when you get this, and we'll talk soon. All right? Bye. I don't think he's going to call back. Okay. So back to this. We're almost done.
I end this series where I began. This case is a simple hit and run. The question is, who did it, and was there any intention? I have never said Karen Read is guilty. That is for jurors to decide. But I will say, no one is prosecuted twice for murder on hearsay and bullshit.
Really?
As both sides were exchanging evidence before trial, Karen's team unloaded thousands of pages of documents on the Commonwealth. Most of it pointless text messages the Commonwealth had to sift through. As both sides were exchanging evidence before trial, Karen's team unloaded thousands of pages of documents on the Commonwealth.
No. Karen's team didn't unload that. The federal government did. The United States Attorney's Office did that, actually. But go ahead.
Yeah,
most of it pointless text messages the Commonwealth had to sift through. The old bait and switch routine. Bombard them with information so they take their eyes off the road.
And by the way, a lot of those text messages talked about how to manipulate the medical examiner and get the cause of death determination you want, or tell them the guy never came into the house, or the 222 phone calls that both Brian Albert and Brian Higgins testified never happened because they were asleep for. Oh yeah.
While you push out so many different stories with no basis in fact or truth, they cannot keep up with it. Spin the propaganda machine and set it loose on social media. Trick the public into believing you have a federal probe up your sleeve to prove your conspiracy, but then walk into court and prove literally none of it. We've seen this film before. It almost never ends the way you want it to. Yet the producers don't care because they've been paid and you've bought your ticket. At the end, they go back to Hollywood with 7 figures. Maybe their client goes to prison or doesn't, and then they move on to the next theatrical performance. Only this time, you leave behind a monstrosity of destroyed lives and emotional wreckage, with a ripple effect circling out into just about every single person connected to the case.
Hi, I'm William Bell. My name's Amanda. I'm calling because I just don't understand how much they paid you in order to say the horrendous things that you're saying. And I don't know why you would go against an entire community. Like, you're saying you're following the evidence. What evidence and what case did you watch? Because it's so obvious, with especially the entire way that the entire police investigation was conducted, that Karen Read was framed. So I'm wondering, because you lost everybody, you lost all your credibility with that first or second episode when you wrote, you said something along the lines of Jen McCabe is attractive and fit. And then you went and said, what if Karen Read's parents put her in a section 12 to prevent her from having to speak to the police? Nobody arrested her on scene.
Yeah.
You falsified so many things saying that Rich Green was incredible. Then why would the FBI they have this?
I'm following the pattern. I forgot to put my stitch marker back in, so I don't know where I started. I just know what I have to do. But yeah, it just keeps getting bigger. But I did the corners, I think, are even. Should be even. It seems kind of small. I guess, how big of a bowl are you carrying around? I don't know. Let's go get a bowl and put it in there, I guess.
Another person, why are they doubling down on the 227?
Yeah.
Are you soft as shit? Because it seems as mushy as my 3 giant dogs, fucking diarrhea. I'm just shocked at what a fucking terrible, fraudulent person you are. And it shows on top of that what a piece of shit you are, because you're afraid of comments. You're afraid of fucking people's feedback.
Give it to her.
Because you know that it would be a 1-star rating. You're such a garbage human being. I just don't even understand why you would do something so shitty. You have no morals. You have no morals. You're a piece of fucking human garbage. Go fuck yourself, dude.
What was that? An awesome call? That's a great call. What did she say that's untrue? The fact that he's playing that like he's some sort of victim, because Amanda, whoever she is, and God bless you, girl, I love you, whoever you are, who left this awesome voicemail pointing out all the factual things he got wrong and what a loser he is. The fact that he plays that, he's like, I'm a victim. Listen to this. That's the worst thing that happened to you, bro. You are so soft. And I've known you. I knew you were soft as soon as Valentinus came crying to me about take that tweet down. And people were mean to you on the show. Oh my God. What a loser. What a baby soft loser. What happened to the tough guy in the woods with the leather jacket? What happened to that guy, Phelpsy? I don't think you would have done well in jail with me. You would not have lasted a medical. You would have been crying for your mama. You definitely would have been crying for your love child, because you don't give a fuck about that baby. Go ahead.
The one thing we must do is think for ourselves. You can't allow poisonous social media and small-minded criminals online with platforms to think for you. I will continue to be attacked and accused of not including certain pieces of evidence and glossing over others in this podcast, mainly by people whose opinions don't matter. In the end, Aidan Carney's attacks and all of the nonsense that comes with that does not change the hard facts presented and proven by the Commonwealth's experts and witnesses. It doesn't matter what harassing callers, armchair sleuths, self-published bloggers, or people without professional experience say. It only matters that those on the witness stand testify to and what a jury decides. It's a strange thing, I guess, but also part of the world we now live in, that people with no experience become overnight experts in forensics, pathology, accident reconstruction, data interpretation, injuries, crime scene reconstruction, and evidence. Here we have honest people dedicating their professional lives to their careers, hammered and ridiculed and harassed online, and what they say doesn't fit a trumped-up false narrative. I asked an O'Keefe family member to read a statement the family published after that ridiculous Vanity Fair article came out in November 2024.
He's so mad about it. The ridiculous Vanity Fair article came out in 2024. Yeah, that article was fucking awesome, and it triggers them so much, motherfucker, because she's successful and you're not. You're lowly rated. Oh, what a loser.
I am forced to change this person's voice for obvious reasons.
Oh, yeah. Let's see what this is.
Karen Read has told many stories about the 2022 death of our beloved John O'Keefe, and extensive interviews for 2-hour network news specials, a 2-part series in a glossy national magazine, many local news stories with bloggers and social media posters. While she makes herself endlessly available to anyone who publishes what she says, we must wait months or even years before she will have to answer our questions under oath. We watch and read these ever-changing stories that don't swear with what we know is true. We warn Johnny, holding out hope for justice through the courts.
I could say.
Because you won't get deposed because the court ruled that you can't depose her. Yeah, she's a Fifth Amendment right. I know it's
a lot more about Aidan Carney, obviously, but we'll leave that to the many judges he faces in the courtroom in the near future. His victims range in hundreds.
Hundreds.
A question kept coming up for me as I dug deeper into the conspiracy to promote the conspiracy.
who's a victim? Who is actually a victim of mine? Can anyone what are they a victim of? Jennifer McCabe's a victim? Not according to fucking Judge Walsh. Chris Albert, fake victim's a victim now? Come on, give me a break. None of these people are victims. You know who is a victim? Mary Bagwell, the one the fake victim threatened to murder and kill her child. Yeah, that one.
If you can prove a cover-up of conspiracy, as you claim, why would you take that story to a criminal, self-published blogger with a very small following, according to people working for him, who has a reputation for vile and sexualized content and no journalism credentials? Why not go directly to the Boston Globe Spotlight team or the New York Times?
This is what they asked Karen. Listen, why didn't Karen Reed do this?
Who has a reputation? If you can prove a cover-up of conspiracy, as you claim, why would you take that story to a criminal, self-published blogger with a very small following, according to people working for him, who have...
So a criminal, self-published blogger with a very small following, motherfucker, read up about me. I had millions of monthly page views prior to Karen Reed. Like I was kind of a big deal before Karen Reed. That's what, if I hadn't built up that platform to begin with, there would be no interest. I would just be some guy that nobody read. So who gives a fuck if I'm writing about? It was powerful because I was big before that. You understand that? I had already on Twitter, I think like 35,000 followers. It's grown to 100,000. It's definitely grown significantly as a result of it. No doubt about it. The page views on the blog, about 2 million a month I would get. Facebook, I had over 100,000 followers on Facebook in 2017. Like, what are you talking about, bro? You're so jealous. I was killing it. I've been killing it for a decade, dude. And Karen Reed didn't bring this to me. Guy by the name of Brian Johnson's the first one to send me this fucking affidavit. He used to work with John. He's a cop. You should have interviewed him too. He's a cop. He believes fully in Karen Reed's innocence. Comes to all the events. He used to work with Johnny at Duxbury PD. Johnny, as you call him, right? All that stuff. What else did he say?
The reputation for vile and sexualized content and no journalism credentials.
Oh, no journalism credentials. How could Karen Reed come to me? Well, Karen Reed didn't come to me. Like I said, I did it all on my own. Afterwards, she's like, who's this turtle with this huge following? She didn't follow me. And she's like, send Natalie. Natalie will take care of it. Natalie will fucking help get him some pictures and stuff like that. And, oh, yeah, you're right. He's right, though, about the Boston Globe.
Why not go directly to the Boston Globe Spotlight team or the New York Times?
Does the Spotlight team even exist? Like, the Boston Globe, the people who called Monica Cannon Grant Person of the Year, yeah, why didn't they go to them? Why didn't they go to the mainstream media who routinely fucking cover shit up? Like, all of a sudden, the mainstream media has a real interest in this case. They didn't before. I did that. Like, are you new here, Phelpsy? I've been breaking stories that the Boston... You really asked why the Boston Globe didn't cover it. Because they're the Boston Globe, dipshit. Because they're not a serious newspaper.
Or perhaps you did go to those publications and they all laughed in your face.
Oh, they laughed.
I digress.
We're all on the same joke, right?
Prosecutor Adam Lally explained it best in his closing argument during the first trial.
I hit him. With the words of the defendant, 4 times. We heard testimony from 4 different witnesses who overheard and observed those statements from the defendant on January 29, 2020.
Thank you for sticking with this podcast. I will update it with new episodes on an as-needed basis and can add an episode anytime. Karen Reed is scheduled for trial number 2 in January 2025, though most believe that will be postponed. The first grand jury failed to indict Karen and Aiden on conspiracy to intimidate witnesses. I am told a new indictment on those charges is imminent.
He is told a new indictment is imminent. He's told that. Well, he's obviously speaking to some truthful people. So I've been told this new indictment's coming any day now. Except I have sources, Phelps, who've told me that Amy DeAngelis brought that group chat that she was in with me and a couple of admins to the state police, and they did nothing with it. They were like, "We can't even use this. There's nothing here." And so she went to Sean on the Gulf with it instead. So you got Sean on the Gulf. You got him. He's a McAlbert now.
Finally, I need to thank those who participated in the podcast. You displayed boundless courage in speaking out and trusting me. I greatly appreciate your voices. So many victims of Aiden Carney's have already stepped forward with evidence and testimonials. I am amazed at how many of you shared your harrowing stories. And if talking to me helped with you going to the police to file complaints, even better.
If talking with me, you guys should go to the police. I haven't been charged with anything, dipshit. So congratulations. You encourage people to go to the police and waste their fucking time on bullshit.
I would ask those listening in fear, thinking you are alone, believing you will be shamed and ridiculed online if you step forward, to know there is strength in numbers.
Yeah, there's totally. Yeah, you too can be friends with Twisted Tragedies and Krusty Panties. You too can join their cult of unfuckable losers. Yes, good job.
Oh
These
my
women before you
God.
have shown tremendous bravery and fortitude.
Wow.
I encourage anyone with information to email me.
These women?
You do have a voice. And trust me, you are not alone by any stretch of the imagination.
This is like so harrowing. Like, I'm like, ooh, scary person. That's it.
34 Fairview Road is a production.
That's
We don't know about that. I think Turboy does a good job at what he does. He can be a little, you might not like his style, but he gets things done. So And of course, what happens to people who get things done? They get a lot of hate also. So, I mean, that's why I watch it. He does go a little bit over the top at times. Yes. Elder Scrolls Grandma. Yes. A tad blunt. He swears a lot, which I mean, I swear a lot, but so that's saying something. Like, I swear a lot, but he swears like 10 times more. And sometimes it's like, hey man, I don't know. But yeah, definitely very blunt. But he gets things done. Like, and he's unapologetic. He doesn't really care. Like, he says what he says, and that's it.
That's it. That's all she wrote, folks. You got to the bottom of it. Turtle Boy bad. Breaking news. Turtle Boy is mean to Phelpsy. So mean. He's gang stalking me. Right. Sure thing. I can't believe he said gang stalking. What a loser. All right. Let me read some turtle chats here. You know I love that money. Thank you. Phelps Realtor sends $10 ago. Did you cut Phelpsy saying he showed a photo of one of my homes, implying that he owns multiple homes, and that shitbox you pictured is not his main home. I didn't even pick up on that. Thanks, Phelps Realtor. I appreciate that. Sandy D sends $25. He goes, the only chance Phelpsy has to redeem himself is if he changes the podcast title to 34 Fairview Road, crossing no lines and solving no crimes. Thanks for everything you do, Aiden. Turtle Rider for life. Yeah, you don't have followers like that, do you, Phelpsy? You'll never have what I have, ever. You'll never go outside a courthouse and have fucking hundreds of people out there fucking cheering you on, you know, taking pictures with you, asking to sign your book. Like, that never happens. You're a fucking loser. I've out your whole career. I fucking accomplished it in 1 fucking year, bro. Suck on that. I'm everything you'll never be. That's why I'm called daddy and you're called what are you called? I don't know.
He's
not daddy. I'll tell you that much. And no one's calling you daddy because the love child ain't around, is she? Yeah. How about that? Thank you. Forrest Dump sends $10. Goes, have you gotten paid yet from the podcast? And will you get to see the numbers and breakdown of downloads from the shitcast? No, that does not happen until 90 days after the final episode, which is now. So they got the 90 days to pay me, motherfucker. And I don't think they're voluntarily going to pay me. So we're probably going to have to get lawyers involved, aren't we? Thank you. Jen, Tell the Truth, sends $10 and says,
so at the end of that podcast, the podcast guy, Phelps, literally said, like, this is not over. This podcast is not over. I could, you know, add to this podcast at any minute. So I think Aiden is gonna have to probably take him to court because he's gonna say that. Like, well, the podcast isn't over. I said at the end of that, you know, episode whatever, that I could drop an episode whenever. So it's not over, so we don't have to pay him yet because it's not 90 days after it's over. It's not over. So I think he's probably going to have to take him to court. Hi, Krista. How are you? It's getting so late. I'm trying to finish this up before I go to bed. And possibly the podcast or whatever this is. What is this? Yeah, I'm getting tired. Turtle Boy's whatever he's doing. I should count all of my live streams. He's at 719. I should count all of mine. Good. I'm glad. I'm glad to hear. Just getting a little tired out here. What a Wednesday. Next week is Christmas. So much to do still. Oh man.
Turtle Boy, you're doing great work. Thank you, doctor. You do great work. Is it too late for the GPS of all those people from 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. to see who came back to Fairview? I don't know. Is it too late for crime scene to go at the house? Didn't the McAlberts have cameras in the front of the line? If you look at the house, 911 call from McTooth. This is a long thing, a long message filled with tons of questions. I cannot answer all these questions. But is it too late for the crime scene to go at the house? Yes. Did the McAlberts have cameras in the front of the lawn? No. Not that I know of. You look at the house. Okay. So yeah, thank you very much for that one, Jen. Tell the truth. Things that make you go, only sends $5. No comment. Thank you. Lisa sends $10, goes, love all you've done. Happy early birthday and Merry Christmas. Well, thank you very much for that one. Brian Weber sends $10 and goes, number one, if you love the United States of America, not the United States Corporation, you need to watch Stu Peters' new.
All right. Good night, Elder Scrolls Grandma. Have a great night, and we'll see you probably in a live stream somewhere tomorrow. Good night.
documentary Occupied for free on BitChute. Have I already read this? Number 2, I showed my 9-year-old daughter John's arm and asked whatever she thinks is caused by it. Tail ate her dog. I'll let you all spend millions of taxpayer dollars to decide what you think she said. Okay. Number 3, somebody please make a meme of Brennan with a douche nozzle in place of his head. All right. Thank you, Brian. Ghosted Higgins sends $10. Goes knock, knock, knocking on Kevin's door. And maybe Meredith's. Kevin's door. I get it. All right. K Style sends $10. Goes, thank you for all the work you do, Turtle Boy. Now erase this comment from your show or I'll kill myself. Oh God. That one. You know, I mean, we don't really need to go there with that one. Again, I'll just say this with that. Anybody who I hope anybody who's feeling like killing themselves goes to and seeks mental health treatment and doesn't use that as a way to bully people and send them messages and say, you know, like if you better post something negative about Turtle Boy or else I will kill myself. Anyone who does that is a real piece of shit. That's all I'm going to say about that. All right. Romy sends $25 and goes, was Phelps drunk on drugs when recorded this podcast? I know. Good question. Mr. Monk's understudy statter says $10 and goes, were John's clothes washed? No. If so, wouldn't that be exculpatory? No, so they weren't washed. So thank you very much for that one, Mr. Monk's understudy statter. Jaco sends $20 and goes, last time I heard gang stalking in PsyOps was the live show with Fallon and DeFango talking about Eliza Blue. Was that what it was? You're old school if you remember that one. You were before Karen Reed when I had those guys on. Thank you very much for that one. Danielle sends $10 goes, is it possible that when Chloe attacked John that he fell back and smashed his head on something inside that house? Of course it's possible. Of course that's possible. So thank you very much, Danielle. Mrs. M sends $25 goes, the dog attacked John. He fell and hit his head. The Keystone cops tried to pull the dog off of John, tearing up his arm and then threw him on the lawn. When they put him on the lawn, instead of calling for help, it's simple. They didn't want to get, no, I think you read that one. All right. Thank you very much for that one. Okay. Let me check my turtle chats on my phone. It's a long episode, another long one. We got Lisa sends $5 and says, so many witnesses, but nobody saw him. She hit him. Yeah, I'd say so. Kind of fucking weird, huh? Danielle sends $10 and goes, I cannot stand Phelps' voice. I know. I think it's funny. It's just funny to make fun of him because he's like such a boomer. Like he's so bad at this. Like, dude, you're so bad at the internet and lots of other things too. And pulling out. You're not good at pulling out. You got to work on that, Phelpsy. The Turtle Boy birth control method. It's called the chest. Get it right. All right. Anybody else have anything they want to say to me? All right, cool. All right. I guess then we will call it a night. And I love all you fine people. And we'll see you all tomorrow. Patriots playing tomorrow. They're back. We'll see everybody for the Tuesday show. I have court on Tuesday. Tuesday, baby. 3 o'clock and 4 o'clock. No, 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock in Dedham. I got the fake victim shit across the street at 2 p.m. and then 3 p.m. In Norfolk Superior, the big house, for the McAlbert shit. All right. I'm out. Peace, Turtle Riders. Love y'all. Peace, Steve Bumcrease.
Oh, it's one of my favorite outros. Kind of weird, but it's really funny. Oh, this has been so fun having actual people to live stream with. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for subscribing. I appreciate it so much, like immensely. I just wanted 50 subscribers so I could go live on my phone once in a while. And you have all surpassed my expectations. Here is my, I'm gonna zoom out. I need that. Don't look at my dirtiness. This is my Christmassy, gorgeous, looks like a little hat. It's not a hat. It's like a thing that you put your bowl in so you can get it by the microwave without burning your fingers. I don't know what it's actually called. Microwave bowl cozy or koozie, depending on what region you're from. So that is my beautiful festive bowl cozy. Is that Krista? It's a bowl cozy. Seems a little small, but I've never made one before, so this is it, and I made it with sugar and cream, and the color is mistletoe. Gorgeous. Oh, and a 5mm crochet hook from Temu. The Temu crochet hook is my favorite right now. I like the inline. Like, never had one like that before. I like it. Oh, yeah. I like it. Quilting is crazy. All those little squares of fabric, and you gotta put them all together and like put a straight line on them. Ugh. Oh my god. No. I'd rather just make knots in yarn all day. That's my thing. But that is, I've seen them and they're really cool. And quilting is very neat. You can have different like patterns of cool fabric. That was my project. Finito, sort of, mostly. And that is the live stream for tonight. So thank you all for watching. Thank you for being here. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for chatting with me tonight. Somewhere, I'm so bad at this. I have an outro video. I don't know. Thank you so much, everybody. Have the most wonderful night. If I don't live stream again before Christmas, have a great Christmas. Have a great holiday. We'll see you probably in someone else's live chat tomorrow. Have a great night.